Hallelujah indeed. Good morning, everybody. Baseball is back. You are tuning into the Bat-Around, the first installment of the Bat-Around where we can talk about baseball as it currently stands without having to worry about a lockout, without having to worry about talking about CBA negotiations. Baseball is back, and so is the Bat-Around. Today's show brought to you by the Live Casino and Hotel in Hanover. Sports fans, the wait is over. The all-new FanDuel Sportsbook is now open at Live Casino and Hotel in Hanover, Maryland. Bet on every sport with self-service kiosks and watch all the action from the best seat in the house and win your share of $10,000 cash by signing up for Live Rewards, cash drawing April 1st. Plus, join Glenn Clark and former Maryland star Rodney Elliott tomorrow in the FanDuel Sportsbook. The guys will be hanging out for the Big Ten Championship game and selection show to give you your betting advice. Plus, they'll have lots of great giveaways for you and much, much more. They have 51 self-service kiosks, Zachary, but they are also adding an additional 12 for the college basketball tournament. 63 self-service kiosks at the FanDuel Sportsbook at the Live Casino and Hotel in Hanover, Maryland. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. It is a really, really crappy day outside. We're excited.
Doesn't reflect your mood.
Yeah, no. Oh, come on, man. I am in a mood today.
Like I've never seen you in this kind of mood. Like you are ready to go.
Yeah.
You are absolutely just ready to do it. Like the energy is there.
I'm fired up, man. Baseball's back. There's Carlos Correa rumors swirling. The Orioles are back down in Sarasota with spring training slated to start tomorrow. By this time next week, they will have already played a spring training game, and we'll be talking about it. Very exciting stuff. How are you feeling on this cold, wintry morning?
A little sick, so sorry if I sound a little nasally this morning, but feeling great.
How dare you?
I know, right? Yeah, it's wonderful. I mean, we've been waiting for this, and Ryan and I show last week was a little bit depressing because we talked about all these negotiations and how far they were apart, and everything was negative, and now this week they come out, and it looked like they were going to do it on Monday. Then it looked like they were going to do it on Tuesday, then Wednesday, and finally it happened. So it's a long time coming. We've been waiting for this. Free agency's open now. I love that. I'm really excited to see the names trickle in throughout the day. I think today's going to be the day we start to see things really pick up.
Well, yeah, because a lot of teams, the guys have to be there by tomorrow.
Right, and the thing is, too, is that these agents were so bogged down the first two nights that right now it's starting to open up a little bit, hopefully, and some of these guys, I even think there are probably more deals that are done that we don't even know about yet, and that maybe these just haven't been reported or leaked yet or whatever it is. But I think as agents start to get, more guys signed, then it will open up a little bit and we'll start to see more trickle in throughout the day.
Well, yeah,
Sunday.
you saw a tweet from Buster Olney yesterday where he said that there are 6 to 8 deals that are done that we don't even know about.
Yeah, and that's what I'm referring to, yeah.
Yeah, so this is happening. The free agent frenzy didn't start the way that we thought it was going to.
No.
It didn't start the way that we thought it was going to. We thought that they were the bell was gonna ring, the doors were gonna open, and Correa signs, Kershaw signs, he signs, this guy signs.
Well, we got Kershaw.
We got Kershaw. We got Rodon. We're gonna break those down in a little bit. Not much to break down. The deals are what they are, but we're gonna talk about them in a little bit. But we expected to see the floodgates open, and they didn't.
Yeah, I mean, it's not entirely surprising, I guess, because teams don't want to make it look like they were doing like illegal tampering and jumping at the gun and maybe, talking to guys a day earlier than they should have been. And I don't believe any teams are actually doing that. But
I think that they probably are.
You think so?
Yeah, come on, man. This isn't daycare. I'm sure this stuff is
I know
happening.
In the NFL it happens pretty regularly.
Yeah, we'd be naive to think an $11 billion a year industry that isn't doing stuff like that.
I know that, for example, on Monday, NFL free agency opens, but I guarantee you some guys are getting talked to this weekend.
Guaranteed.
I don't know how, I don't know with baseball and the lockout, it's a little bit different because of the legal obligations of both sides. I'm not sure.
Tyrann Matthews, Darius Smith, those guys already know where they're going.
Probably.
They already know.
Yeah.
So for me, you just see the eyeball emojis. But we're not here to talk about football. We're here to talk about baseball. Let's break this thing down a little bit. We got a full 162-game season starting April 7th for the Orioles. That's April 8th in St. Pete against the Rays. Orioles home opener Monday, April 11th versus Milwaukee. They have officially moved the start time to 3:05 p.m.
Yeah.
I got my tickets, section 68, row 1, taking my dad. I've got a great view of the wall. That's just what we're going to call it, the wall.
The wall.
I've got a great view of the new left field in Oriole Park at Camden Yards. I can't wait to see it.
It's really the most important part of the whole season for the Orioles. It's not Adley Rutschman's debut. It's the wall.
It's the wall. Yeah,
it's really important.
We built a wall. That's exactly what we did.
We built a wall.
So, look, these sides, they were so far apart for so long. 99-day lockout, 43 days before Major League Baseball even came with their first proposal after locking out the union. And then they basically meet in the middle on everything.
That's what we've been saying for the past
you guys could have done this December 3rd. You could have met in the middle December 3rd. But let's break down the framework of this new CBA, shall we, Zach?
Let's do it.
So there's gonna be 12 playoff teams. First, it was gonna be 14, then it was 12, then 14. They ended up with 12. You have 2 3-game wild card series in each league. The top 2 seeds get a first round bye in each league into the divisional round, which is basically the way it was before, where the top seed would get a bye into the into the divisional round, but now it's the top 2 seeds. The higher seed,
I don't mind that.
In the wild card rounds, the higher seeds host all 3 games. There's a nice little wrinkle that they're putting in there. So by being the higher seed, you get the advantage of being, and I guess that makes sense with a 3-game series, because it's like if you're the higher seed, you want Game 1 at home and Game 3 at home. Do you want Game 1 and Game 2 at home? And then what if it's 1-1 and then you got to go to their home ballpark? So putting all 3 games at the higher seed location is smart.
Yeah,
in my
I agree.
opinion. You've earned that right because you were the better team.
I agree. I think you should be able to play at home if you're a higher seed. I think that's perfectly fair, and that's kind of how the NFL works in a sense. And I think that makes sense.
Yeah,
that's a good addition.
It's a smart move. Now there's a draft lottery for the 6 worst teams. This starts in 2023, so the Orioles still have the number 1 overall pick in June. The small market teams like the Orioles, they can stay in the lottery for 2 years in a row, but the 3rd year they drop to 10th at best. Large market teams get 1 year in the draft lottery before falling out of the lottery. This, like I said, this kicks in 2023, starting fresh with 2022 results. So the Orioles, who have picked in the top 5 the last 4 years, including 2022 coming up, they get a clean slate. So they could win 60 games this year and still have a shot at the number 1 overall pick next year. They still be in the lottery. Now, the thing is, they will get less lottery balls in the lottery ball machine based on their record. If they have the worst record in baseball, they get the least amount.
Same way the NBA does it, if anyone's familiar with that. I think this is a okay implementation. I think this is fine. I originally was a little bit against it, but I obviously am against the rich get richer and the poor get poorer kind of analogies that people have made over the past few years, because there are a lot of people that say, oh, well, the draft order should go backwards. The team with the best record, like the Dodgers, who won the World Series, they should get to pick first because they spent all the money and they actually tried to win, instead of the guys that are tanking, like the Orioles and the Pirates and all these bad teams like the Marlins, Orioles, Pirates, you can name it. But I think this is a good implementation. I don't think that they really screwed over the small market teams, which I think was something that was a consideration. I think for me, I was thinking, maybe the Orioles and the Pirates are going to have a significant disadvantage with this, but I don't really think they do. I think this is fine, and they'll still get to pick inside the top 6 for a couple years there.
Well, and here's the other thing: I'd like to think they're on their way out of that.
I think they are.
I'd like to think that they're.
They are.
Yeah,
in the next few years, I would say so.
Well, but I mean, before that, I'd like to think before that, because I've been saying this for a year, that you don't expose Adley, Rutschman, and Grayson Rodriguez to that brand of baseball.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I don't think. And look, if the rumors are true that the Orioles have a significant offer on the table for Carlos Correa, it kind of just proves my point.
Speaking of Carlos Correa, we have heard, Paul and I have heard from an anonymous source here, that this is true, apparently, that the Orioles are in the running for Carlos Correa. They have a sizable offer on the table. That's all we can say about that right now.
Yeah, but here's the other thing. And Zach was skeptical. I was not, because I spoke to the reporter, Raul Ramos, who put out the report.
I'm talking about someone different.
Right.
Raul Ramos.
I know you are. Yeah. I talked with our source who has the source. I know who you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
But Raul Ramos is a credible source. And he came on the show. He had frameworks for the deal. He had the years and the numbers for each year. And he covers the Mets in the Latin community. And he is a member of the Baseball Writers Association of America.
Yes.
So he is a credible source. We in Baltimore, we tend to be skeptical of these things because it's Baltimore, right? It's the Orioles. They've had They've had 13 winning seasons in my 37-year existence. So we're right to be skeptical. But when a guy from the Baseball Writers Association of America who has ties to the Latin community says something and comes on our show and backs it up, and then on top of that says on the show when we asked him questions that he didn't know, he said, "I'm not going to say something that I don't know." Which makes him credible.
So I think my point, and I said this on the show last week and you weren't here, but my point that I believe Ramos. I believe he heard this. I know that there are some sources that sometimes are a little bit not the most truthful or not the most reliable, and I think maybe that was my speculation that maybe he had heard something that was not quite true.
Well,
I believe that he heard this. Of course.
As a journalist, it's like when you told me that you had a source, an inside source that told you about this.
Mm-hmm.
Did I just straight up believe you right off the bat, or did I go checking?
No, you went and checked.
Right. A good journalist, when they get these reports, and I'm not saying I'm a good journalist, but
I'm sure
Raul Ramos
is
a member of the Baseball Writers Association of America, and he did his due diligence.
I'm sure he did his homework.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, look, does that mean that Carlos Correa is going to sign with the Orioles?
No, we're not guaranteeing that.
No, if it's down to him and the Astros and the Cubs and the Yankees and the Dodgers and whoever the hell else wants to, it's really going to come down to, it's going to come down to money.
Yeah, I think it will.
And you look at when Manny Machado signed with the Padres, it was right around this time with the Orioles that the Orioles are in, where you have.
You're right. You're right on the brink. Is what
right.
You're
you have 6, 8, 10. In the Padres' case, the Orioles in some publications have 5, 6, or as many as 8 guys in the top 100. The Padres, when Manny Machado signed, had 10 players in the top 100.
Yeah.
For top prospects, and Manny Machado took the best deal that he got, which was 10 years, $300 million.
Yep.
From the Padres, which now kind of looks like a bargain when you look at the money.
I was gonna say that's a good deal.
When you look at the money being thrown around.
Yeah.
If Carlos Correa, with his ties to Mike Elias and with this new Dominican Academy and the footprint that he can leave on this organization, if the money is the same, I can see him signing with the Orioles. I can see. I
guess I can now. I believe this now. I've changed my mind because I've actually I don't know. I heard it from someone that I know personally. So therefore I've changed my mind on this. I think they're in the running.
I think they're in the running. I still think it's a long shot because of the other teams that I know are in there also.
I would agree, and I think that there are other teams that can come out of the woodwork that haven't even we haven't even heard about yet.
Speaking of which, the Cubs just signed Andrelton Simmons to a one-year deal. That was a guy that I thought that the Orioles should target.
Yeah,
but. If it's Andrelton Simmons and Carlos Correa, what was that?
Lights just blinked. You see that?
No, man. I think you're having an Adam Gase moment.
No,
in
I don't
press
think
conference.
I am. I don't think I am.
But if it's Andrelton Simmons or Carlos Correa, which one am I taking?
Yeah.
But
quite a difference.
We can get excited about it. Sure, if you guys want to get excited about it. It's an exciting thing. It's an exciting time. But let's temper our enthusiasm here a little bit and just understand that this does not mean that the Orioles are going to sign him.
But if they made an offer, which is the information that we have, then it's at least exciting. And the good news is that we'll probably hear a resolution on this within the week.
Yeah, I would imagine within the next couple of days.
It could even
48 to 72 hours. It could be today.
It could be today. Yeah. If Carlos Correa signs during the show, that would be an incredible moment.
That would be the baseball god smiling down upon us. Now the thing
we deserve it.
The thing here with these Carlos Correa rumors that are swirling, even if they don't get him, the fact that they were willing to offer what it takes. Now, the question becomes, is it Carlos Correa is the only one they're willing to offer that kind of money to? I don't expect them to go out and sign Trevor Story. I think that Carlos Correa is a special case
I
for
agree.
Baltimore. I think that the ties to Mike Elias, the ties to the Latin community, I think that what he brings to this team, and it's somebody that they can build around, who's still a young player, who has those other intangibles. I think that makes him a marquee player to the Orioles.
I don't
think that you can say the same thing about Trevor Story.
Right. I don't think the Orioles are going to say, okay, we didn't get Correa, let's pivot to Trevor Story. I don't think that's how they're going to think. I don't think Trevor Story, I don't even think he's in the same stratosphere. I think Story's a significantly worse player. And I saw some rumors swirling yesterday that he might not get anywhere close to the money people thought he was going to.
Well, yeah.
Trevor Story.
He's a good player. Trevor Story's
he's
a good player.
He's not great.
But he's about 250 hitter.
Yeah.
He's about 250 hitter with good power, and he plays solid defense. He ain't Carlos Correa.
No, not at all.
He's not Francisco Lindor. You name him. He's not Corey Seager. But yeah, no, if it shows the Orioles have a willingness, even at this stage of the rebuild, to spend that kind of money.
Right.
So then what it tells your fan base is, okay, well, when we are ready to turn that corner, they're going to spend that money.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like they already are now. I mean, that's the crazy thing about it.
Like, but my point is, even if they miss on Correa, you know that they're willing to. They're willing to go to those lengths.
And unfortunately, I would just say that it probably won't be this offseason that we'll see a move that's the size of Correa if it isn't Correa, if that makes sense. Like, we're not going to see the Orioles invest huge money in someone else this offseason. I would doubt it. Like you said, I really think Correa is that special case where Mike Elias has that tie. Correa probably, keeps in contact with Elias, and they know each other well, I'm sure. And, Elias might have said, look, we're building something special here. We've got Adley Rutschman. We've got Grayson Rodriguez. We've got these guys that are going to be the next core. Look what we did last year with Ryan Mountcastle and some of the other young guys, Cedric Mullins, of course. And
Austin Hayes maybe turning the corner.
John Means is still here. Look, you look at that if you're Correa and you say, okay, I'm going to have a chance to maybe help turn this team around like I did the Astros.
And then you got to ask yourself, what is important to Correa?
Yeah.
Does he want to go to New York and be a face in the crowd?
Yeah, that's what it'll be.
Does he want to stay in Houston where he's well known and it's Houston, but he's probably not getting the money that he's looking for? He's probably going to have to give them a hometown discount.
I also saw he's selling his house in Houston, which I don't know.
Yeah.
It could mean he's just upgrading. Who knows?
So then the other question becomes, does he want to play in Baltimore and be one of the faces of the franchise?
Yeah.
Like him. Like the three faces, like with the Orioles when they were about to turn that corner, it was Adam Jones, Nick Markakis, and Brian Roberts.
Yeah.
Does he want it to be Carlos Correa, Adley Rutschman, and Grayson Rodriguez?
That's an unbelievable core three.
Right. So this is something that we're not going to turn a blind eye to. We're going to pay attention to it. We're going to get excited about it, but we're gonna curb our enthusiasm a little bit, because
I'm still not enthusiastic. I'm not there yet.
You seem enthusiastic.
I mean, I believe it more now that I heard it from this other place than I did before because I wanted to hear it from another place. I think once you hear something twice, it makes it a little more believable, if that makes sense.
That's an excellent point. Zach texted me this morning, and I was like, what makes you believe this source rather than Raul Ramos? He goes, well, I know this source personally. I was like, you don't know any of the reporters that report anything personally.
But listen, my point with that is...
No, I know your point. I just thought it was funny.
Jeff Passan consistently reports these big deals. We know that he's a legitimate guy. When Jeff Passan reports something, it's legitimate. With Raul Ramos, I haven't heard personally that he's reported other things that I can remember, if that makes sense. And I don't remember a specific scenario where Raul Ramos broke a giant story. That's all I'm saying. That's my point.
Yeah, but you also have to consider...
And I'm sure he's legit. I'm sure he is.
So anyway, back to this draft lottery thing.
Got off topic there a little bit.
This is but it's a good topic to get off topic on. A good topic to get off topic too. With this draft lottery, this is basically an incentive to stop teams from tanking.
Yeah.
I don't know how good of an incentive it is. I think the best incentive would have been a salary floor.
I really wanted a salary floor.
I wanted one too.
Yeah.
It's not in the deal. Maybe the next CBA, but we're gonna have to wait 5 more years to get to that one, which I'm okay with. Give me 5 years of labor peace and see if the Orioles can win a World Series or 2 in that time span.
World Series or 2. Wow, that's generous. Hopefully,
I mean,
nice.
in 5 years, they better be sniffing. They better be sniffing.
I would agree with you. I think they would have to get close. But no, I think the piece of the next 5 years is going to be refreshing to baseball fans because it's been with COVID in 2020 and trying to get that 60-game season figured out, and then last year with just this tension kind of building up towards the CBA. It's been a rough 2 years, really.
Yeah, it really has.
Labor talks.
It's been very rough. Now, minimum salary is going to start at $700,000. It increases by $20,000 each year for the remainder of the deal, topping out at $780,000.
Yeah,
players are making $570,000 on the minimum last year.
Yeah.
And now that goes up to $700,000.
Yeah.
Again, they basically met in the middle.
Yeah.
Here, the players were asking for $780,000, I think, at the beginning to go up $30,000 each year, or maybe it was like $760,000.
And the owners wanted $6.
They wanted like $640,000, $630,000, something like that. They basically met in the middle. Which why couldn't you have done this a month and a half ago?
That's what we've been saying. It's ridiculous.
Draft pick compensation for teams that start on the cusp prospects on the opening day roster. So like. Back in the day when Chris Bryant won Rookie of the Year and the Cubs kept him down the first 2 weeks of the season to get that extra year of service time, all that would be out the window now. So, like, say Adley Rutschman, the Orioles hold him down the first month of the season. Then he comes up, he rakes, He's one of the best catchers in the game, and he's the Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
They lose that year service clock anyway. If they bring him up on opening day, we don't know what the draft pick compensation would be, but you get an extra draft pick by doing that. So that incentivizes you to bring up the players that should be here. And Adley Rutschman, let's be real, Adley Rutschman should be here.
I believe now he will be the starting catcher on opening day. I would be very surprised.
I've
if he
always
wasn't.
thought he's going to be the starting catcher on opening day.
I was like 85% sure.
You
but
can't
now
justify not doing it.
Yeah.
So, again, rookies get a full year of service time if they finish number 1 or 2 in Rookie of the Year or top 5 in Cy Young MVP voting. Players get – now, this is where I'm unclear because I don't know if it's all players or just rookie or pre-arbitration players that get $2.5 million if they win the MVP or the Cy Young, $1.75 million for runner-up, $1.5 million for third, and $1 million for fourth or fifth. I don't know if that's an incentive for all players or if it's an incentive or if it's an incentive just for the pre-arbitration and the rookie players.
Yeah, I don't know either. I'd like to hear that cleared up. There's a few things on the CBA that I'm still a little bit shaky on and not like 100%.
Yeah, the draft pick compensation. It's do you get a competitive balance pick in the first round? Do you get a fourth round pick? Do you get a 13th round pick?
I don't really think they've specified. I think there's some
they
things,
haven't.
like with this right here, with the players getting the money for Cy Young voting, MVP voting, whatever. I don't think they've really cleared up exactly how it all works. And maybe we'll hear more about it. And I'm not sure if these CBAs actually come out on paper that we can read, like anything.
There's like a 130-page agreement that you can read.
Maybe for next show we'll have that. I'll do a little reading for you.
If you want to read it, by all means, Jason Stark broke down the most important parts of it on The Athletic, and he put it basically in layman's terms. That's where I got all my information from because he said, look, the 130 pages, it bogs you down. It's a boring
Where
read.
does this money come from exactly, though?
Revenue sharing.
Okay.
Revenue sharing. What else do we have? So this year, rules implemented this year. We're going back to the 9-inning doubleheaders. We're going to have a universal.
Don't like it.
Dude, shut up.
7-inning
baseball is not baseball. I play 7-inning baseball in timed games. It's not baseball. It's not baseball. You mean to tell me that you are okay with the Orioles, say it's a 4-3 game in the 7th inning, and they don't get the other 2 innings to try and tie this game?
I mean, it is what it is, right? Like, I think you get increased viewership when it comes to 7-inning games. I think people are more.
I don't. It's not baseball.
2 9-inning games in one day is so long. Like, I have a very hard time sitting down and watching 18 innings of baseball.
Yeah, well,
personally.
then don't do it.
I mean, okay, that's fair too. But
Yeah,
I think there are a lot of other people that would be.
Baseball, Major League Baseball, is 9 innings. It's not a 7-inning game. It's 9 innings. And
we'll agree to disagree.
It's so long. Yeah, you're making $35 million a year. You can go play 18 innings in a game.
Well, I'm not saying they can't.
And then you can go out to Capitol Grill and have yourself a nice 3-pound lobster and a filet mignon afterwards. Okay, so what are we doing here? It's been 9-inning doubleheaders for all of eternity, except for 2 COVID-impacted years. It needs to be 9 innings again. They took the runner on second in extra innings off.
Hate that.
A lot of people hate it.
I loved that.
I enjoyed it too.
Yeah.
I think it makes for a more compelling game, a more entertaining product. But it doesn't affect me.
Look, I mean, I love scoring. I think scoring in baseball is exciting, and I personally don't like pitcher's duels. If I sit down, I watch a game that 3 runs are scored in. It's not as exciting as a game where you've got 10 runs that are being scored in, and I like seeing guys score. And usually you can get a runner on second. The team's going to score at least 1. Then it goes back to the other team, score at least 1, and it's just more scoring. It's more exciting for me personally.
Yeah.
It's not a deal breaker.
I like the rule too.
Yeah.
But I also like the idea of earning your way to second base.
Yeah.
But Glenn made a great. Glenn hates it. He hates that they changed this rule. He made a great point on the show yesterday that look, you have 9 innings to win the baseball game. If you don't win it, then in extra innings, who cares if you have that runner on second? But so those are rules that are being implemented this year. Rules being implemented next year: larger bases, a shift ban, and a pitch clock. All implemented in 2023. I am okay. I've always wanted the shift ban. I hate the shift.
I agree with you.
I hate the shift. That's not baseball either. There's 9 positions. Field your position.
I agree.
So I'm glad with the shift ban.
And the shift has just destroyed so many lefties across the league.
It has. Chris Davis.
Yeah.
Chris Davis destroyed himself. Pitch clock. There's been a pitch clock in the rule book forever. It's just never been enforced. They're finally going to start enforcing it in 2023.
I like that too.
The larger bases.
Why?
I'm okay with a larger base at first base. And when I say a larger base, I mean a base where the white base is in play and there's like an orange base like they have in softball and in Little League and stuff like that on the foul side of the line that a player can run through. So you're not stepping on somebody's ankle. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
With the caveat being that the first baseman has to have his foot on the white bag to get the out. He can't step on the orange bag in foul territory and catch a ball and have that be an out.
Yeah, no, I agree.
That is strictly for the runner to run through for safety purposes.
I would assume that would be the rule.
Bigger bases anywhere else, I don't need that.
Why would they? I don't really understand.
They're saying a safety thing, but they also want more stolen bases and more offense.
That's what I think.
And look, I don't think there's going to be like clown shoes bases. I don't think it's going to be like a 3 foot by 4 foot base.
No.
It might be a matter of an inch or two
Yeah.
all the way around. But just for me, keep second and third base the same size and just make first base extend past the foul line so that you don't have people stepping on people's ankles. But that's really all I have to say about that. We're a little late to call Stan, so why don't we get him on the line? While Zach's doing that, just want to remind you that our show today is brought to you by Problem Gambling. Guys, know the risks and have a plan before you start gambling for free and confidential. Let me start that over. Know the risks and have a plan before you start gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org. That's helpmygamblingproblem.org for your gambling problem needs. You are listening to The Battleground. I'm Paul Valley. He's Zack Goodman. We're getting Stan the Fan on the line here, and we are very excited to talk with Stan today because we haven't gotten a chance to talk about real baseball in months. So, without further ado, Stan, good morning. How excited are you with this new CBA agreement?
Probably not as excited as you guys are.
Okay,
because you're the host of the show.
We are the host.
You've got the pressure of carrying the ball. All I have to do is answer questions. I'm pretty darn excited. I understand the nature of negotiations, but guy running a business like Rob Manfred running an entity that, is a multi-billion-dollar corporation, it just boggles my mind that from the time that they negotiated with the players back in 2020 and knew that this day was coming, that they were going to have this hard negotiation, why you wouldn't have been more aggressive way earlier. Call up Tony Clark, go out to dinner with him, and get to know the guy a little bit. Start a relationship, because at the end of the day, these things are solved by people.
Yeah,
I don't think Rob Manfred had an awful lot to do with solving this.
I don't think he did either. I think it's also a little difficult when a guy like Rob Manfred, there's two sides fighting over this, and he's employed by one of the sides, basically.
That's understood. That's understood. But it seems to me, while I wouldn't say that he runs the whole business with a firm hand, that's part of being a leader, is convincing the owners that you work for that this is good for baseball. And all you have to do is look at the things they gave in on over the last 12, 15 days.
Mm-hmm.
They raised that pool money. They came, they did the competitive tax, and those are things he wasn't budging on for, 9 months, 14 months. I don't know. Seems like you could have solved this back in December.
Yeah, it seems like they met in the middle on most things.
On most issues, and that's generally the way a negotiation should work. I'm sure the players gave a couple things, that they didn't want to give on, like giving him the ability to implement those rules and all that. But, at the end of the day, that's what negotiations are. They're give and take. They're compromise.
No, absolutely. I agree with you. Now, Stan, we expected to see this big free agent frenzy right out of the gates when they announced an agreement. And
yep.
we haven't seen much. Are you surprised by that, or do you think this is kind of or was this kind of what you were expecting?
Not really, because I don't know. I don't know exactly who was policing what, and I'm sure you can have some low-level conversations with agents, Ken. But there was supposed to be no kind of negotiating going on. So yeah, I think you'll see by tomorrow. I think you'll start to see a lot more action. MLB Trade Rumors is projecting that Nelson Cruz is likely to get a deal pretty soon.
Yeah, I heard rumors about the Brewers for Nelson Cruz. We'll see if that ends up. But
I'll tell you what, the Brewers are after him, and the Padres and the Dodgers, and
okay.
It's hard to imagine those two teams losing out to the Brewers.
We do have a free agent deal that happened 10 minutes ago. Not a big one, but Steve Cishek has gone to the Nationals on a 1-year deal. So I just thought I'd throw that out there. Any thoughts on that one, Stan?
Not particularly. He's continuing to pitch for an awful lot of teams, isn't he?
He is. And the Nationals, I guess it's kind of surprising for me to see the Nationals make a move so early, considering they are in a rebuild phase, and they probably aren't really looking to compete this year. They're probably going to win 60, 70 games, maybe somewhere in that area. But it's kind of surprising to see them as players in the free agent market at all.
It's real hard. I tend to agree with you, but there's still enough pieces there that, if Strasburg comes back, and who's the left-hander they got from Arizona? I can't even remember his
Patrick
name
Corbin.
now.
Patrick
Corbin, right. If they have good seasons, they could be a little bit more than rebuilding, but generally I tend to agree with you that this is not going to be a great season for them. But again, I have the challenge, and I've been doing it now for 10 years, of doing weekly baseball power rankings. By now, I would have one or two mock ones up, saying, hey, this is my early. I sat down last night, and how can you start to project where teams are going to finish?
Right.
It's like really, like a looking for something in the dark right now until the players. But I spent a good part of the evening last night lining up my book. I have to. I keep a weekly book where every game is kept, and I'm able to keep up on how teams are doing on a daily basis. So I was doing that, and it was fun to get back to work on that.
Yeah, it was certainly fun preparing for this show yesterday. Just knowing that there's so much to talk about. Clayton Kershaw, he went back to the Dodgers, 1 year, $17 million. See, I got to be honest, I was a little surprised by that. I thought that he was going to end up in Texas. I thought that he wanted to go home to pitch, and I thought that the Dodgers probably had enough pitching. They didn't need him. Was there any kind of surprise on your end that he ended up back with the Dodgers? And also, what are your thoughts on Carlos Rodon going to the Giants for 2 years and $44 million?
Well, I'll start with Rodon. That move was a brilliant move, in my opinion, by Farhan Zaidi. There was a lot of conjecture that he would sign a 1-year contract. Mm-hmm. And I think they saw, I'm not comparing it exactly to Kevin Gausman, but I think they saw that, hey, we got a guy, why not take that extra risk that he's going to be finally over some health issues, and we'll get 2 seasons out of him. And I thought it was a great move. That basically makes up for the loss of Gausman,
Yeah, this is.
I remember they made a couple other signings, pitching signings before the lockout, but I think that was a bold move and a really strong move. Kershaw, I kind of felt he would go back to the Dodgers. I really did. This is sort of a sentimental. They have plenty of money that they can sign one sentimental thing. And look, if Clayton Kershaw is healthy, you're going to get maybe not 200 innings like the old days, 210, 220. You might get 150, 160 innings out of him.
Right.
He's probably going to have a back flare up and some type of arm problem at some point. So, I think probably 130, 140 innings is good. And if he pitches well, he's going to get. And by the way, he's got incentives in his contract that take the 17.5, I'm sure, into the mid-20s. So he's got an incentive to try and pitch as much as possible. And for him, the pull of completing a career pitching for one team was important to him at this point. Now, I'm not saying if he has a struggling season this year and he's a free agent next year that he won't sign elsewhere then. No, if he thinks he can pitch another couple of years. But remember, he's not 37 or 38. He's like 33, I think.
He's 33.
So I think it's a good signing for the Dodgers. They don't know what's going on. I predicted once the dust cleared that Trevor Bauer might not ever pitch again in the major leagues. And I think he's about to get slapped with probably a 3 or 4 month minimal suspension by MLB.
So I've been following Twitter during this just to make sure we've got deals coming in, and we do have a Orioles rumor out there right now.
Okay.
They're in talks with Jose Iglesias, so maybe a reunion there at shortstop. So the Mets, the D-backs, the Red Sox, the Guardians, and the Orioles are all in talks with Jose Iglesias at the moment. So
well, you know what Jose will like about Baltimore is he'll probably be the starting shortstop on the club.
Could be, yeah, could be.
Yeah. So that's interesting. Good news.
Carlos Correa comes to Baltimore.
Yeah, right. That's right. They've got.
In the offense.
You know what I haven't heard anybody write about yet, either Rich or Rock or Dan Connolly. Maybe Zach, you're more on top of than I. Remember when they signed Jordan Lyles? The deal did not get completed. Right. So is that still the case? Could he sign elsewhere?
I saw John Heyman say that they're coming. I think it was closed yesterday. Am I right, Paul?
I didn't see that it was closed, but what he put in his tweet was that there were 2 guys that signed prior to the lockout that were pending physicals. So
right.
Maybe,
I mean, I guess the physical could be taken as soon as he gets to Sarasota. But my question is, if he hasn't actually signed yet, could the Dodgers say, "Hey, we can get him for $8.5 million or 2 years at 17, can they come in and swoop him away?
They could. Technically, they could. It'd be a pretty shiesty move on Jordan Lyles' part. But
I've seen money talks and BS walks.
We saw it with Fowler here several years ago. So,
I mean, I think he's a real kind of under the radar, very positive signing for the Orioles.
I think he is too. He gives you a ton of innings, and 2 out of every 3 starts, he's getting you deep in games with not a lot of runs on the board. I thought
an interesting guest for you guys to get one Saturday would be oh God, now I can't remember his name. With the Athletic, he writes a lot of the deep dive analytics stuff. Oh God, he's got an unusual foreign name. Anyway, I'll get you his name. I had him on about 3 years ago on the show. He's very good. He wrote a piece about different pitchers, and he had pitchers that were very positive late in games or something like that. And Jordan Lyles had some really interesting numbers. So.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Jordan Lyles, and when we broke it down, 23 starts, he had a 3.2 ERA. To me, that's a guy who can pitch in the middle of your rotation, get you innings. And every now and again, he's going to go out and get beat up, but that happens to a lot of pitchers. So,
well, I remember when we signed him, I looked at his numbers and I probably told you this 3.5, 4 months ago. Because I play fantasy baseball, I noticed him last year. I said, boy, he's like pitching well. And then I'd look sort of at the ERA and I'd go, his ERA is like 5? I thought I'd seen him pitch a bunch of good games. Mm-hmm. And when I went over his record, it was really quite interesting. He made, how many starts did he make, Zach, last year? 30?
32. He had 32 starts. He had
32 games. He had 30 starts.
30 starts, 32 games, right? But
right.
The 2 games that he pitched.
Seven of the games he had an ERA of like 12 something, and the other 23 it was like 3.4.
Well, Stan, it was 3.2, and that includes the 2 others, the 2 relief appearances. The 2 relief appearances he made, one was 6 innings where he gave up 2 runs, and the other one was 7 innings where he gave up 2 runs.
Okay.
So he came in like the first or second inning in both of those games and went deep.
But that's so unusual to have one little series a game, not little series, but boy, if you told me the Orioles have a pitcher when we signed him that 2 out of 3 times he's going to keep you in a ball game compared to what we've had the last 5 years here, I'd say sign me up. Why not give him a 2-year contract?
Stan, he had more quality starts and more starts of 5 innings pitched and 3 earned runs or less than John Means did last year.
Yep.
He was the ERA, because he was so bad in those 9 games.
Right.
The ERA was up above 5, but the 5.35 ERA is basically 4 runs in 6 innings, or just under that, like 3.5 runs per 6 innings, which for the Orioles, that could be at the top of your rotation with what they're pitching.
No question about it. And again, what the important thing that I know Mike, Elias, and Sig were looking for is what isn't told by how short the starts we get is how much damage that does to the bullpen. Where they're like nobody's fresh at all because they're constantly, 3 out of 5 times the bullpen's coming in the 3rd or 4th inning.
Yeah, and Stan, I think that the bullpen and the starting rotation are the top 2 storylines of spring training, because this team, I think the offense, with what they have coming in, what they have from last year, I think the offense will be good enough to be competitive. The question becomes, can their pitching keep them in games? And right now, that's an unequivocal no. What are your top storylines, and how do you feel about the pitching moving forward?
Well, I'll tell you my top storyline is, and I meant to ask you this. I was trying to read up on everything once I read your notes today of what we were going to talk about.
Sure.
But so Adley Rutschman, this now becomes a situation where the Orioles actually get draft pick compensation for starting the season with a rookie.
They do, but it hasn't been put out there yet what that draft pick compensation will be.
Right. I'm sure it's not like another number 1 pick,
right,
but it's probably an extra pick, or maybe it's like a pick in between the 3rd and 4th round.
Yeah, I was going to say.
It's significant enough now for a team that's rebuilding to say, you know what, now I've got reason to bring him up, rather than stick around with him for 3 or 4 weeks.
Right, and the other thing about that, Stan, is if he finishes 1st or 2nd Rookie of the Year voting, it doesn't matter when they bring him up. He gets that year of service time,
right?
And gets that much closer to free agency.
Right. Yeah. That's one of the sort of hidden things in all this. There are some competitive balance issues that they dealt with, and I think that this is one of them. Getting your best players up. And if you have to, give an incentive for teams to do that, and the draft pick lottery, So those are things to all keep an eye on. My big stories, we had Tim Kirchin on the other night, and when I asked him that same question, because I was playing the host, his first thing was the Mets, to watch Buck Showalter with a pretty powerful team, and they're probably not finished signing people yet either.
Yeah, it's rumored that their payroll is going to be over $290 million, which is good.
Yeah.
I mean, Steve Cohen's going to be hit with a hefty tax.
I'll tell you one of the more interesting things to me to watch is the Oakland A's. How much of a sell-off do they have over the next 2-3 weeks, which I think will be pretty significant. And I do think they will trade Matt Olson. And it's really interesting that one of the teams talking to the A's already is the Atlanta Braves, because I really felt that as soon as that, the thing was signed, the collective bargaining agreement, that they'd announce like, hey, we're signing a 5-year contract or 6-year contract with Freddie Freeman. The fact that they're in talks with Atlanta to try and trade for Olson is very interesting, that they haven't signed him yet, or there hasn't been anything really written about that, because you've got to believe that the Dodgers may really make a strong bid for him, and the Yankees certainly have enough talent to make a strong bid for him. So it's going to be very interesting to see where he ends up, Freddie Freeman.
Yeah, when I was watching MLB Network last night when I got home from work, they were basically saying it was a foregone conclusion in their minds that if the Dodgers were trying to go after Freddie Freeman, that's where he's going to end up. The Braves don't seem to have a willingness to go to 6 years for him. They're willing to give him about 5 years, 140 to 160 million. They don't want to give him that 6th year. And
Yeah.
we know all too well about that here in Baltimore. That's
Yeah,
why the Orioles lost out
the
on Cruz
Nelson
and
Cruz year.
Markakis. Cruz and Markakis in the 2014 off season. They wouldn't go that extra 4th year, and that's what those guys wanted. They ended up leaving. I think it would be a grave mistake on the Braves' part to not end up with Freddie Freeman staying there for the remainder of his career. I just think that's a black eye on that franchise.
By the way, Cruz, no question, they had to choose between a 4th year and the 3-year deal they offered. But with Markakis, I don't think the Orioles really got clear on what their offer was, and the Braves came in, and I know for a fact they had dinner with him, and they said, "You've got until midnight to sign this deal." And they offered him 4 years at $44 million. And Markakis wasn't getting any feedback from the Orioles at all.
Yeah, from what I remember, they originally wanted to do 4 years with him, and then he had the neck surgery, and so
then he had the neck problem, and that's
and
where
they backed down to 3.
Peter being, I don't think it ever got clear that they were even offering 3.
Yeah.
I mean, listen. In fairness to the Orioles, it was a terrible off season. They lost Markakis, Cruz, and Andrew Miller. Miller would have been my number 1 guy to have signed, if for no other reason than say, we can't afford him, but let's sign him and then we'll trade him for prospects, 2-3 months into the season. But the Markakis thing, I don't know another player that came back and played as well as he from this surgery.
Yeah, and the Orioles still haven't replaced him in right field. I mean, even you can look at Anthony Santander, but he's been injured every single year.
Yeah.
So that's one of these outfield prospects has to come back up. It has to come up and fill that role for sure. Now, Stan, I want to talk to you a little bit about some of these rule changes. So the rule changes that are being implemented this year, you're going to have universal DH. I think we can all agree that that's a good thing for baseball and a good thing for players at the ends of their careers. 9-inning doubleheaders are back. No runner on second base in extra innings, all being implemented this year. Are you okay with 9-inning doubleheaders and no runner on second?
I probably, what I probably would have done and liked a little better is 9 innings for the first game, second game, 7 innings. I know that's really inconsistent, but I just think 18 innings and with the chance of extra innings, 16 innings is to me plenty of baseball for both the players and the fans for one day.
Yeah, I can understand that argument. I remember a doubleheader with the Orioles and the Rangers back in 2007, where the first game the Rangers won 30-3.
Right.
And they still had to go out and play a second game. I think that in Major League Baseball, Stan, your job is to play 9 innings of baseball, even if it's.
I don't have a major problem with it. I got to tell you, the extra inning rule. Again, you know how I felt about that. Was that again? I'm somewhere in the middle. I end up growing to actually like it. I found it was almost a whole different game that was created by that. But the amount of times that I saw a team score 1 run and then the other team coming back and immediately scoring the tying run again and then scoring more runs, it was really, I thought it really added a new wrinkle to the game. I know it's new school rather than old school, but I probably would have, again, parsed it out in the middle. I probably would have played 1 or 2 extra innings normally and then gone to that.
Yeah, like started like in the 12th inning.
Yeah, probably starting in the 12th would have probably been, I would have played a 10th and 11th and then said, okay, 12th inning,
Yeah, I would have been okay with that. I'm okay with it either way. If they have the runner on second, if they don't have the runner on second, I'm okay either way. It doesn't affect me.
Now the All-Star game, they've announced that that's going to be determined if it goes in. It's tied after 9 innings. It's going to go to a home run derby.
I didn't see that. That's news. You're breaking that to me right now.
I've heard that. Yeah. That they just really don't like
the All-Star
idea.
Game?
Yeah.
The home run
just
derby.
for the All-Star. Not the 7th game of the World Series.
Yeah. No, I was thinking during the regular season, a home run derby to finish extra innings would be incredible. I would love that.
I think it'd be cool, but I think it would wear off after a while.
Yeah, I'm not a
think
big
you'd get
fan
a lot
of
of
that.
people watching baseball for that specific.
Yeah,
people,
but it's
Yeah.
I mean, the Home Run Derby outdid the World Series in ratings this year.
yeah.
So
Chicks dig the long ball.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying, but I feel like you're making
They-
it like an arcade game at that point.
They want to kind of compare it to ice hockey with the shootout, but the difference is in hockey the players that has to score the goal is kind of controlling what he does. In home run derby, it's the pitcher that's I don't like it.
Yeah,
I don't like
who
it at all.
who would pitch to you? It's not like
Yeah.
the other team's going to give you batting practice fastballs.
Brandon Hyde.
Yeah.
Brandon Hyde comes out there, throws his fastball.
Yeah, they should have the opposing manager.
That's what I'm
pitch to
saying,
the
yeah.
hitter with a screen in front of him.
Yeah.
While he's yelling at players to get in the box.
Hey, by the way, I just want to remind your audience that's out there at 11 o'clock, so it's like 9 minutes from now, ESPN2, UMBC will be playing Vermont for the,
Oh, that's right.
to get into the NCAAs.
And that's how they got into the NCAA tournament back in 2018 when they
Yeah,
did upset Virginia. They beat
So
Vermont.
would they have them? Is Virginia going to get in this year?
No, Virginia's under 500. And,
Right,
and
so they're not even going to get in.
They lost in the tournament. But,
Yeah.
I mean, they play a 1 seed. If UMBC gets in, there'll be a 16, and they'll play a 1.
Yeah.
And that'll be
Yeah.
the talk of the week.
Probably play Duke
Yeah.
and
so,
upset Duke. Probably upset Duke.
And Sam, finally, some of these rules that are going to be implemented in 2023: larger bases, a ban on the shift, and a pitch clock. Now, there's always been a pitch clock, but it's just never been enforced. They're going to start enforcing it now. I'm okay with the shift ban. I'm okay with the pitch clock. I'm okay with first base being bigger, where you have maybe the base extend into foul territory, so you avoid collisions that way.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't like the idea of making second base and third base bigger. What's the point of that?
I'll tell you what the point. It's interesting you say this to me. I hadn't really thought about it because it was a player safety issue, is what I thought it was at first base.
Right. Agreed.
Okay, and I was fine with that. Now I read that they're going to have second and third base are going to be bigger. And I got an email, and he'll be a good guest for you to get on. He's a local guy. His name is Rick Straub, and he teaches catching. He's a catching guru who teaches young kids how to catch.
Okay.
And he emailed me the other day and got into the weeds about that this bigger bases is going to make it harder for people to be thrown out stealing bases.
Right, because you're gonna have a bigger
because
base to
it's
get around.
closer, we're talking milliseconds here, but it's a couple inches closer, which means the ball has to get down there even faster. And I think the reason the owners want that is they think we can't just abruptly change a lot of things that are going to create more action and more runs, but this might be something. So I think that's really hasn't been talked about a lot as to why they want that.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
I think they want more offense, more stolen bases. And I'll tell you, it sucks
Yep.
for teams that don't have Adley Rutschman. I'll say that much.
Yeah.
Stan, so awesome to talk to you about stuff that's actually
Yeah,
happening.
it
instead of
really
being
is. It
at
really
a
is. And
standstill.
I know you guys are thrilled to death. And
Absolutely.
keep up the good work. Who you got on the rest of the show?
Connor Newcomb from the Locked On Orioles podcast is going to join us around 11:15, talk about his take on the CBA and the Orioles and everything like that, do some Orioles banter, and get out of here and go watch some UMBC.
All right, guys. I'll talk to you soon. Talk to you next Saturday.
All right, and we'll have
if
some
not
baseball
before.
to talk about.
Okay. Bye.
See ya. And guys, that was Stan the Fan Charles. He has two great shows for you every week. Every Monday night, Stan and former Orioles pitcher Ross Grimsley visit with a different guest from the world of baseball. And every Thursday night, Stan and Gary Stein chat with a different newsmaker from the world of sports. This week, Stan and Ross chatted with the legendary Tim Kirkchin, who loves himself a good Baltimore accent, while Stan and Gary held an end of lockout roundtable with former MLB front office executives Marty Conway and Andy Dolich. You can find those shows under the videos tab at facebook.com/PressBoxSports or at PressBoxOnline.com/video. Stan and Ross are back on Monday night, and on Thursday, you won't want to miss it when ESPN's Maddie Brightman, the producer of SportsCenter with Scott Van Pelt, will join the guys. When we come back in, Zach's going to sound off on some premium pitching, and then we're going to have Connor Newcomb come on and talk about all things baseball. That and more next on the Bat-Around.
Glory Days Grill's St. Patrick's menu is now in full swing, and it's their most popular seasonal menu all year. New in 2022 are their smoky thigh wings with Guinness grilling sauce, a house-made Guinness barbecue sauce. Fan favorites also include their corned beef and cabbage, the shepherd's pie with Guinness braised ground beef, the Glory Days Reuben, and the Rachel. Enjoy a pint of Guinness or Guinness Baltimore Blonde. The St. Patrick's menu is available for the whole month of March. Come in for great food, cold beer, and basketball. Find out more about Glory Days Grill and get your order in online at glorydaysgrill.com.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
The Toyota Tacoma comes in a wide range of models and trim lines. You can choose the perfect Toyota to reflect your unique personality and driving habits. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Tacomas from your local Toyota dealer today.
Hey guys, it's Paul Valley, and there's a new era of Glenn Clark Radio as I've joined Glenn every weekday from 10 a.m. to noon. There will be some changes, but what won't change is the absolute best daily discussion of Baltimore sports.
New Baltimore Ravens wide receiver, Rashad Bateman.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
He is outfielder Cedric Mullins.
Thank you guys for having me.
Trey Mancini.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
He is Kevin Zeitler.
Thank you. Very happy to be a part of this.
Ravens kicker Justin Tucker.
Thanks for having me.
Adley Rutschman.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on.
John Angelos.
Thanks a lot. Good to be with you.
Ryan Mountcastle.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
Marlon Humphrey.
Thank you.
Quarterback for the University of Maryland, Talia Tungavailoa.
Thank you guys for having me.
He is J.K. Dobbins.
Thank you for having me. I had a great time.
The great Ray Lewis.
Always good to be on.
He is Mr. Cal Ripken Jr.
Good chatting with you.
You can watch us live at facebook.com/PressBoxSports or listen at PressBoxOnline.com/radio. And podcasts are available on Apple Podcasts or Spotify.
Sports fans, the wait is over. The all-new FanDuel Sportsbook is now open at Live Casino and Hotel in Hanover, Maryland. This is your chance to win big right in your own backyard. Bet on every sport with self-service kiosks and watch all of the action from the best seat in the house. Make every moment more at the all-new FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel in Hanover. Please play responsibly. Gambling problem? Please call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit mdgamblinghelp.org.
Welcome back to the Bat-Around. The Bat-Around is brought to you by Toyota. Make the most out of every day in a Toyota RAV4. Available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new RAV4s from your local Toyota dealer today.
I swear I hit mute on that, and then I just pushed it back up. My bad.
Thought
I had that music muted.
All good. So, Zach sounding off segment today. The first free agent to sign yesterday was Drew Verhagen, and he signed with the Cardinals a 2-year deal worth $5.5 million. This is a guy who pitched in Japan the last 2 years, so about a 3.5 ERA, about a 1.2, 1.3 WHIP.
Yeah.
But in 6 career seasons in the majors, he's got a 5.11 ERA.
Yeah.
Cardinals are looking for relief help. Every team's looking for relief help. So he pitched well in Japan, but you have a lot to say about this.
Yeah, he's a guy. Well, first of all, I don't really buy Japanese numbers, for example, in that league.
It's like Double-A baseball.
Right. It's very, very different from. There's a huge gap between Major League Baseball and the leagues over in Korea and Japan and China and wherever it is. It's very different baseball, and I just want to put that out there. He had success, great. I give him credit for that. But guys like Dan Straley have gone over there and had a lot of success too after
Tyler Wilson,
sure. It's a great example, and I don't really buy that. And his major league career has been pretty much unsuccessful. In 2019, he had a 1.6 WHIP. His ERA was well over 5. I mean, these are not really good numbers at all. But he got $5.5 million on a 2-year deal, which is Not a lot, but it's significant, I think, for one reason, and that's because I just think it shows you how this pitching market is going to unfold over the next week. I think teams are going to be overpaying guys like you've never seen. I think it's going to be absolutely insane how much money some of these really average or below average pitchers are going to get. I think you're going to see guys that have basically had terrible Major League Baseball careers get $10, $12 million because teams are so desperate for pitching. And I think they realize that without all that communication over the past few months like they usually would have had and getting guys on pitching plans and helping them out through their offseason and training them a little bit, they don't really know how a lot of their arms are going to come in this offseason. And maybe they have a little bit of a better idea with these free agents, given that, maybe they well, I wouldn't say they have a better idea, but at least they can have some insurance with some of these free agents, and they might end up giving them out a little more money than they would have in the past. So I think the free agent market, especially for pitchers, is going to be crazy. There's going to be overpays everywhere due to the fact that teams couldn't really talk to their own players over the offseason.
Well, and I think that there's already, even before the lockout, there was an overpay. There's a pitcher, and I can't remember his name. It's escaping me right now, but he signed with the Rockies. He's been with the Rockies his whole career, and he got like 4 years, $50.6
Oh, you're
million.
talking about John Gray with the Rangers.
No, that's not who I'm talking about.
Oh,
no? John Gray was a former first-round pick.
Okay.
This guy, he's an Hispanic fellow, and he re-signed with the Rockies for like 4 or 5 years, over $50 million.
Okay.
And I looked at his numbers, and last year he had like a 4.5 ERA and was one of his better years. Pitching is certainly at a premium.
Is it Germán Marquez?
No. I think his last name begins with an A. But he certainly.
Is it Antonio Santazella? I believe
yes,
that's how you say it. Okay,
that's
so,
it.
okay.
And Antonio Santazella, that's who it is. And he got like 4 years, like $50.6 million. And you're looking at him, and you look at his numbers, and you're like, that's not a 10, 11, that's not a $12 million
right. The pitching
pitcher.
market is unbelievable. It's just crazy overpays everywhere.
Yeah. And John Gray, the money that he got, what did he get? 4 years, $56 million in Texas.
Yeah.
And he's being paid for what he was expected to be, not what he is. John Gray has never. I think maybe he's had 1 year with a sub-4 ERA.
Yeah, I'm not a John Gray fan.
He's never been that guy. He has all the stuff. They were talking about on MLB Network last night. He has all the stuff to be a number one starter, but he isn't. He just doesn't put it together. And I get that he was pitching in Colorado, and maybe if he gets down to Texas, he'll pitch a little bit better. But John Gray is not an $18 million a year pitcher. He's a guy that should get a Jordan Lyles type of contract.
Yeah.
But because he was taken at the top of the first round, he was expected to be that guy, and he's shown glimpses. He gets $18 million a year. Pitching is pricing itself out of baseball. And when I say that, people are still going to be willing to pay, but those smaller market teams, it makes you wonder with a team like the Orioles, are they going to be able to go out there and keep up and spend that kind of money to get a starting pitcher? Because
concerning, yeah.
Look, they moved that wall back so that they could get starting pitching.
Yeah.
And we talk about the wall
we love
tongue in
the wall.
cheek. We love the wall. We talk about it on the show a lot, mostly tongue in cheek. But they moved that wall back
for a reason.
Not because of the pitchers that are currently on their staff, except for maybe John Means and Jordan Lyles, but more so because they know they have to go out and get the free agent pitching. Now, the free agent pitching they're going to have to get, is that going to cost them $25, $30 million a year?
No, because I don't think the Orioles will be willing to go to that.
That's my point.
Right. Yeah. I mean, they certainly could, and I think that maybe if they're offering Correa $350 million, like it's rumored, then maybe they are willing to pay that money to pitching. But I doubt it with the Orioles past and what they've given out. I think they're more going to be in that like 20 to 22, 23 range.
Yeah. And here's the other thing that we talk about the Orioles past, and we talk about the Orioles don't do this. The Orioles aren't being run by the same people.
Right, they're in a very different situation.
Peter Angelos is not running this team anymore.
You're right.
And Dan Duquette and Sid Thrift and Jim Duquette and Mike Flanagan, rest in peace. They aren't running this team. It's Mike Elias and Sig Mejdal, and it's John Angelos who has basically said, if the Correa rumors are true, he's basically said, hey, you're running this team. Go do this.
Yeah.
Do what you need to do to get this team back. And honestly, I've been really enthused by John Angelos over the last couple of months and even couple of years. The things that he said make it seem like he's a true Baltimorean at heart, and he wants this team to be successful.
I certainly don't dislike John Angelos. I think he's done what he needs to do, and I think he's done it very cordially is the word I would use for it.
Yeah, and I like that he's kind of look, he's going to be the guy that people talk to.
Yeah.
He's the ownership face,
Yeah.
right? But he's kind of taking a back seat. He basically just says, Mike Elias, go do your thing.
And that's why the Orioles need a president desperately.
Yeah.
They really need a guy to be like that spokesperson that's not Mike Elias.
Yeah.
I think to where I like Mike Elias. I think Mike Elias is a good guy and a very good GM. I think where Mike Elias comes across sometimes a little bit, I don't know the exact word for it, but Mike Elias is a GM and he's making baseball moves, not business related moves. Like he
comes
he's not
across
on that-
as a need to know guy, and
Yes.
you don't need to know.
Exactly. He can be a little bit harsh, I think is the way I would word it. And they need someone who's kind of a little softer to be the team president and relay some of these business moves. Something that's not really Mike Elias's job. I mean, Mike Elias is not really making decisions
So like
on
what,
hot dog prices.
Like what kind of business moves? Like moving the wall back?
Well, I think that's a business move to me. Like that's
Yeah.
not baseball operations. That's a business move, in my opinion. I think that any changes to Camden Yards, you make a hot dog $7 instead of $9 or whatever it was before.
God, I could go for a hot dog right now. I'm really hungry.
Me too.
I'm really hungry.
I mean, someone should be there to announce that officially, and not John Angelos, because he's ownership should kind of take a back seat. Mike Elias is on the baseball operations side of things. I think they need someone to run business operations and be the face of that over Mike Elias is what I'm saying.
It's funny though because we're talking about how the Orioles are in the market for Carlos Correa.
Yeah,
and which would mean that they would have to spend well north of $300 million.
Yeah, probably 350, 375. Yeah,
but they won't send their broadcast teams to visit to opposing stadiums.
Well, was that a COVID issue or a money issue?
No, they said that it's a money issue at this point because they're allowed to. They aren't doing it.
Yeah, I do know there are separate separate ways that all of this money is allocated that they have, and that's
true. That's a great point.
Yeah, I know Angelos can't really allocate some of the money he has to some things where he can allocate it to other things. Like the free agent money isn't the same money that's being allocated in Camden Yards.
That's an excellent point. It's not like you have a $165 million payroll.
Yeah.
And $2 million of that is going to your broadcast team.
Right, exactly.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
There's certain money allocated for different things.
Right,
Like the $25 million baseball academy in the Dominican Republic. That's not part of the Orioles payroll. That's money that was set aside for that.
Right.
But it also shows that they're not cheap. But then we'll see. Speaking of which, we didn't even discuss. We haven't even talked about the fact that Kevin Brown is now.
Yes.
He's now the full-time. It has been made official. He is the full-time TV personality for the Orioles.
130 games, roughly.
130 games. We'll be doing some with Jim Palmer, with Ben McDonald. I'm sure Melanie Newman. Well,
I saw Scott Garceau, too, as well.
Well, Scott Garceau is going to have significantly less TV games. He's going to be on the radio a lot.
Okay.
He's going to be. Thank God there's no Rio Ruiz here anymore.
Ruiz.
Rio. No, look, and Glenn made a great point on the show the other day. Scott Garceau he's been around for so long.
Radio legend. Yeah.
He's earned the right to do this.
Yes.
Right? And it's not easy calling games from a teleprompter.
No.
When you're in an empty ballpark and you're looking at the TV feed and calling games based on that, it's not easy. Now, they have their games, our games that we watch on Masson are on a delay.
Yeah.
They're not on a delay. They're not on a delay when they're calling from the ballpark. So, but they're seeing the same things we are. We'll see a fly ball that comes off the bat. It looks like it's gone and it's caught middle of left field.
Right.
He just got under it.
Right.
So, benefit of the doubt there. But I'm glad to see Kevin Brown. Kevin Brown brings a sort of levity, to an Orioles broadcast, which is something when they're this bad. It's needed.
You need it.
It's desperately needed. That call, I think it was either a Ryan Mountcastle or an Austin Hayes home run, right after what was the guy's name from The Wire? What was his name?
I'm not
the guy who played Omar.
Right.
Forgive me, but right after that guy died, Mountcastle hits this home run. And he says, "You come at the king, you best not miss." It was a perfect line from the show. Perfect line for that moment that he couldn't have said at any other point. It was perfect. And that's what Kevin Brown brings to a broadcast, the call on Cedric Mullins' home run robbery in that game, the excitement. There are people that don't like Kevin Brown. I don't get it. I think he's great. I enjoy his broadcast. I think he's just the next in a long line of Orioles broadcasters that just they give you the feels. You listen to a game, you listen to him call, and you feel like they're in it with you.
I think Kevin Brown is the best broadcaster the Orioles have ever had. One of the best.
Ever?
I think.
I mean, you're talking Chuck Thompson, John Miller,
I think Kevin
Joe
Brown
Angel,
is.
Fred Manfra.
I think Kevin Brown is the best that I've personally heard, in my opinion.
You are a youngster. You're 20.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard.
When do you turn 21?
About 2 months from now. A little less than 2 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what are you gonna do? Are you gonna when I turn 21?
I haven't planned anything yet.
When I turn 21, I had my dad buy me my first legal beer.
Well, that might happen. We'll see. We'll see.
That was cool. Let me know what you're doing for your 21st.
Sounds
birthday,
good.
man.
I'll let you know.
I'd like to be a part of it.
Yeah, for sure.
If
for
I
sure.
could, I'm inviting myself to your birthday party. Deal with it. Deal with it.
Well, we got to do that. Paul and I are going to face off in baseball at some point pretty soon.
Yeah. So in my
we'll make that part of it.
If you weren't listening at the end of the show last week, I called in right after one of my games down in Florida, and we faced a team. I feel like they were from Georgia, but I could be wrong. But it was a lot of Puerto Rican, a lot of Dominican players. So one guy who was pitching against us was a Dominican lefty who pitched in Dominican Pro League the year before. Excuse me. And I shut that team down. I pitched 6 innings, 2 earned runs, 240 batting average on balls in play, and an 81% weak hit percentage. So Zach heard these numbers from me, and he says, "Paul, I want to face." He texts me. He's like, "I want to face you. I want to face you." I said, "I think right now I would dominate you because you haven't swung a bat in God knows how long.
It's been a while."
But I feel like if you might be. I think you'd be able to get a hit or two.
Get into the cages for a few months. Yeah.
If you were in it, cages don't replicate.
No, but just to get my swing back a little bit. It's been a while. It's been a while.
I think right now I'd blow you away.
You might.
But I think if you were playing in a league and you were mid-season form, I think you could handle me.
Yeah.
I don't throw very hard. I just my pitches move a lot.
I was better at hitting breaking balls than I was.
Well, then I'm just gonna throw you all fastballs and changeups.
I'll probably swing through a good amount of them.
Yeah, I don't throw that hard. I throw like low 70s on a good warm July day. I might be able to ramp it up to 75.
I remember facing some like 80, 85 in high school, and I was like, wow, that's tough. I was not ready for that.
Yeah. I don't throw that hard. The guys we were facing, the back-to-back lefties we faced in that tournament that gave up 1 run in 2 games against us.
Yeah,
they were throwing about 80.
I still got my cutter. I still, you might have to face it. Yeah.
Yeah. You might have to show me how to throw a cutter so I can add another pitch to my repertoire.
Oh, it's easy. It's easy. You basically grip it like a fastball, but you put your index finger on the seam, and then you release it from about a slider release point. Pretty close, yeah. But you throw it a little harder, and it gets a little bit of lateral, a little bit of average. So it's good. It's a good pitch.
I'll have to have you show me how to throw that. Anyway, in a matter of minutes, we're gonna have Connor Newcomb from the Locked On Orioles podcast joining us to talk about all things Orioles, all things CBA, his storylines for spring training, and the free agents frenzy that we haven't really hit yet. I think today it's gonna ramp up a lot. I'm expecting to see some names. I think we're gonna hear Nelson Cruz within the next few hours is going somewhere.
Yeah, I agree. Nelson Cruz is right on the brink.
We'll have a resolution on Freddie Freeman. Very interested. Of course, we're definitely interested in what's going to happen with Carlos Correa.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see what kind of starting pitching the Orioles are going to go after, what kind of starting pitching they're going to sign.
If at all.
They know that they need another starter.
Yeah.
Right.
I agree.
They definitely need another starter. They've basically said as much. And they got to go get catching. And are they going to be trades? Are they going to trade Trey Mancini to the Padres for a catcher?
They easily could.
They've got a lot of work to do, and they're all reporting tomorrow if they're not already down there. And I heard that some of them are already down there.
Just some updates from John Heyman here.
Sure.
Nelson Cruz, he said, expected to have a deal by tomorrow. This was about 20 minutes ago. And then 16 minutes ago, the Mets are apparently looking to trade some veterans.
I saw that.
Jeff McNeil, Dominic Smith, J.D. Davis. So, maybe some guys.
They got to clear they got to clear some money off because their payroll right now is $290 million, which is
J.D. Davis is a really good bat.
Yeah,
really good bat. And now with the National League DH, he's more of a DH kind of type guy. I mean, he can play third, play left field, but man, that would be a good get for any team. J.D. Davis can hit.
All right. Well, why don't we go ahead and give Connor Newcomb a call? Just want to remind you all the newest edition of Press Box is available now on. If I can get this out from under my computer. On the cover, we celebrate the 20th anniversary of Maryland men's basketball's 2002 NCAA Tournament Championship as Gary Williams reflects on how the program rose from the ashes of NCAA sanctions to the pinnacle of the sport and why his perspective of the title run has changed now 2 decades later. Plus, Juan Dixon, Lonnie Baxter, and the rest of the team relive the moments that ultimately led to them cutting down the nets in Atlanta. Pressbox is available for free at over 500 area locations, including 60 Royal Farm stores, and you can always find the entire edition as well as the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps at PressBoxOnline.com. Joining us now on the Bat Around. He is the play-by-play voice for Hopkins Sports. He is also the host of Locked On Orioles podcast. He is Connor Newcomb, and he's live with us now on the line here in the studio. Connor, how are you this morning?
I'm great, Paul and Zach. How are you guys?
We're doing really well. So excited to have baseball back. So excited to have you on the program. It's always great when we get a chance to talk with you. What was your excitement level on Thursday when they announced they had agreed to terms?
Yeah, I mean, big-time excitement. I mean, you could kind of feel it was a little different throughout the day, Thursday, just with the more of the intricacies that were being reported. Like they were talking about, if a deal comes today, free agency would open tonight. And if a deal comes today, here's when the season would start. Here's when spring training games would start. So we got all that before we got the deal. And you could kind of feel it. I actually was about to record Friday's episode of my podcast on Thursday afternoon. And because of those tweets, that was the first time I actually waited to record and said, we might get a deal tonight. And it turned out to be that way. And obviously I was very excited. And, there's been positives and negatives from looking at the deal, but just happy that we're getting 162 and we're really only starting a week late.
So let me ask you this. Baseball's back. We're getting a 162-game season, and we're all happy. We're all excited. Do you kind of put all the negativity from what we just went through for 99 days behind you, or is that just going to kind of sit in the back of your mind that they didn't really care about the fans at all? Does that stick with you, or you just, nope, baseball's here, let's get going?
I mean, it's going to stick with me. And the other thing is, it more than anything else, it makes you think, what's going to happen in 5 years?
Right.
And that's obviously very far down the line. And, the Orioles hopefully will look like a completely different franchise by then, just taking it from a Baltimore perspective. But you can't forget about it. The thing that will kind of stick in my mind, I think, more than just the overall negativity about the, trend that baseball and Major League Baseball as a league was going, that will stick out, I think, is that, we saw the media portrayal be more pro-player than it's ever been in labor negotiations. And I also think we got more down the middle reporting on what was going on. And there were obviously mouthpieces for both sides in the media. But I think we got more of an understanding of what the players are looking for in these deals. And I think a lot more people realize that, the owners just say a lot more to the media throughout these negotiations. And so you've kind of been trained to think that what the owners are saying is what should be happening, what I should believe. But I think we came to more of a conclusion this time that, at the end of the day, you're watching the game for the players. And if just for that, it makes it a lot easier to take their side in these negotiations. So I think the negative part that I still hold with me is this could get worse in 5 years, and It could even be bad in 3 months because, they kind of tabled the international draft thing, and that could come up again in the middle of the season. But on the flip side, you think, okay, maybe next time the players even have more support and, this gets done a little easier.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that people were more prone to take the player side because it's out there and the players are the product. Now, with these negotiations, positives, there's negatives from all this. What's your takeaway? What are your takeaways from the CBA? What are the things that you like? What are the things that came about that you don't like?
Yeah, I mean, I think, I'm not 100% let's go, these are great things, because they're also tough to kind of understand. I think it was good that the players got changes on kind of their big things that they wanted. Mm-hmm. The competitive balance tax went up. It's going to continue to go up. They got higher minimum salaries for players. That was something I was big on. And the pre-arbitration bonus pool, I think, was kind of the number one thing that I was excited about them adding, just because you have these players like a Wander Franco and hopefully like an Adley Rutschman this year, where they're going to make the league minimum. And I know it's different for a guy like Adley, who had, an $8 to $9 million signing bonus, and it's a little different. But, you add different guys, a guy like a Cedric Mullins, who was, not a very early round pick. He comes up, he's an MVP candidate and an all-star. And, he's not making that much more than the minimum to do that. Mm-hmm. And so, for a guy who can finish pretty high in this voting, there's that $50 million in that pre-arb bonus pool that, they're going to get some of that money and at least get a little more of what they're worth before they go to arbitration. In terms of negative stuff, I don't like that the owners were able to get that extra threshold on the CBT, that's $60 million over, they basically looked around and they said, instead of trying to outspend Steve Cohen, we're just going to try to tax him out of spending all his money,
Right.
which was just weird. And then another negative, to be honest, I don't think the kind of, anti-tanking measures that they tried to put in with the draft lottery, or, the measures to try and get guys to stop service time manipulation, I like that they're in there, but I don't really see them working.
Yeah, it's going to be a little difficult. I'm glad you brought that up because it brings me to Adley Rutschman, who you just mentioned. Look, if they bring him up on opening day, they're going to get an extra draft pick. We don't know what that draft pick is, but let's say they bring him up in mid-May, and then he goes off and he finishes first or second in Rookie of the Year voting. They lose that year of service time anyway. Now, on the flip side, maybe he finishes third in Rookie of the Year voting, but he doesn't get that year of service time. It seems like that would be a gamble that the team might be willing to take to try to get that extra year of service time. With that in mind, do you anticipate now with this new language in the CBA that Rutschman will be here on opening day, or do you think it's still going to be one of those things where they hold him back for a couple of weeks?
Yeah, if you're an owner in a front office and you want to be really evil, these new things in the CBA could almost make you hold a player down for longer at the beginning of the season. Because if you think, hey, if we don't bring up, our top prospect till June, the voters might say he doesn't have enough time in the big leagues to win Rookie of the Year. And then, you get that extra year at the end. But with a player like Adley, who was clearly ready in August, honestly, of last year. Like, I did a podcast episode in late July where I said, Adley's ready. I said I didn't think the Orioles would bring him up, but I said, like, it's go time in terms of if you were just evaluating it off of talent. And, of course, comparing him to Pedro Severino, Chance Sisco, and Austin Wynns made that a little easier as well. But, he's the best catcher in the system, major or minor leagues, obviously. He's the best prospect in baseball. He's good to go for the majors. His swing's ready. His defense is ready. He is all there. And again, the draft pick compensation, if he finishes top 3 in Rookie of the Year, you're going to get some draft picks. John Means finished top 3 in Rookie of the Year a couple years ago, and he is nothing close to the player that Adley Rutschman is. So, and remember, John Means was on the opening day roster in 2019. So if you call up Adley and you get him in the top 3 Rookie of the Year, which he should be, honestly. I mean, I think Wander Franco might still have that eligibility. I'm not sure. But at the end of the day, Adley's going to be in that top 3. Take those draft picks. And you know what? Don't worry about that last year because just sign him to an extension before that happens.
That's what I've been saying. And just for clarity, it's actually the top 2 finalists for Rookie of the Year in both leagues, not the top 3. Just so our listeners know exactly what's going on there. But yeah, the thing is, Connor, Adley Rutschman's going to have a leg up on the competition as it is because he's the number 1 overall prospect in baseball. He's expected to be a top 5 catcher as soon as he makes his debut. He's going to have, so he might have lesser numbers. He might say he hits 260 with 23 home runs, but that's still going to be good enough to get him Rookie of the Year because he's Adley Rutschman and he's expected to be that player, right?
Yeah, I mean, and at the end of the day, Rookie of the Year is not as difficult to win some years as people think.
Mm-hmm.
Like last year, there were a lot of candidates in the American League, and that was one of the reasons why, among others, defensive struggles and a cold start, that Ryan Mountcastle didn't finish in the top 3. But there are some years, like the year that Means finished in the top 3, where you had Yordan Alvarez, lighting the world on fire in like a half a season. You had, Terp Brandon Lau breaking out. And that was kind of it in the American League. So by default, your third guy in there was John Means because he pitched kind of well for a terrible Orioles team. And so there are some years where, and because of the nature of baseball now, like there are more guys who get called up who don't stay up. Guys go up and down a lot. And so, they don't accrue enough time in the majors where writers will consider them, up in the bigs long enough to win Rookie of the Year. So, you look at Adley, if he's up for the whole season as the Orioles starting catcher, and he does hit that 260, maybe a 850 OPS, whatever it may be, 20 to 25 home runs, with the prospect status he has, if he's hitting big homers and, making the Orioles at least watchable, he's going to finish in that top 2, and you're going to get those draft picks. So I don't think the rules have made it a no-brainer. I would like the rules to make it a no-brainer,
Right.
which it should be to call up your top prospect on opening day. But I think it helps a little bit. And if you're the Orioles, like, you got to do it. Like, when we all show up to Camden Yards on that, April 11th, he needs to be in the lineup.
I agree. Now, what about the thought process that, okay, maybe we don't call him up for opening day, but then when we have our next homestand, we call him up then, and then we can get another sellout, and that's more money coming into the Orioles.
Yeah, I mean, like, I could see them working it to, depending on what that date is going to be for the extra year of time. I could see them lining it up with, a start of a homestand and, getting him in the ballpark and getting fans in the ballpark. Again, I wouldn't like it because I would like to see him from the jump, from April 8th in Tampa, the new opening day. I would like to see Adley Rutschman, batting whatever he's batting, 5th, 6th in the lineup and catching for the Orioles. But that's something I could see happening. I mean, if they wanted to be really bad about it, like, you could see a situation where they hold them both down and they could maybe call up Grayrod and Adley at the same time and have them, make
Wouldn't
their
that be
debuts on
something?
the same day and make it a mega event at Camden Yards in like June. I don't think that's happening, but I could see something like you talked about, Paul, maybe happening. But at the end of the day, he's just too advanced for AAA.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that he belongs in the major leagues right now. Like I said, I think he's a top 5 catcher in the game the moment that he steps on the field. It's just a matter of getting him in the ballpark, and I agree with you. He should be on this team on opening day for sure. Now, there have been rumors about a guy who might be on this team on opening day. Now, they're just rumors, but Carlos Correa has kind of taken the Orioles fan base by storm ever since Raul Ramos said that the Orioles had a deal on the table for Correa. Do you put any stock into any of this? Do you even bother getting yourself excited about something like this?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, like, I was not familiar with Raul Ramos before the report and kind of like looked into it, and he is verified on Twitter and he does write for a legitimate outlet and he is a member of the BBWAA. So at the end of the day, like, this is not, Orioles season 425 on Twitter with 32 followers tweeting out that he's heard that the Orioles are interested in Carlos Correa. Like, this is a legitimate journalist.
Right.
And so at the end of the day, like, my thoughts of will the Orioles sign Carlos Correa was at 0.1% before the lockout. This report puts it at 1% for me.
Okay.
I think, there's going to be so many teams that are ready to win now and that have shown in the past that they're willing to spend $300 to $400 million in 10 years on a free agent, that he might go those places. And he could still go back to Houston. I mean, I know a lot of people have ruled that out, but I think that's still on the table. But it's funny to see that report, to see Raul continue to tweet about it a little bit, that, the Orioles are interested, reporting that they had potentially offered him a deal around the 10 years, $350 million. It makes sense for the Orioles to do it, a Padres Manny Machado style deal where you sign the key free agent to a 10-year deal 1 year before you're ready to be good. You get him to buy into the long-term plan, and then you're kind of set with a star. Correa and Adley is maybe your Machado and Tatis for the Padres, and then you start to build around them the next offseason. I could see that happening with the Orioles. I would love to see it. And at the end of the day, how awesome would it be for the O's to do that and to make them so much more watchable? But I don't think it's going to happen. The only thing that, maybe I'm up from 1% to 2% is, the Cubs were like the team once the lockout ended, like the Cubs. Then they signed Andrelton Simmons to a 1-year deal yesterday. And the reports were, that doesn't mean they're out of Correa, but that's a starting shortstop in the big league they just went after. So you could argue that you're crossing another team off the list. And again, I don't think he goes to Baltimore, but I haven't given up all hope.
Yeah, and there's also talks now that the Orioles are amongst 4 or 5 other teams that are talking to Jose Iglesias. So kind of tempers your enthusiasm there, because why would they be talking to Iglesias if they're going to sign Correa? But they also have to do their due diligence. If they don't get Correa, they need somebody to play shortstop. I think we can agree that it's not going to be that they're not looking at Ramon Urias or Jorge Mateo to be their starting shortstop on opening day.
Yeah, I mean, I like Ramon Urias, and I think he should get a lot of at-bats this year because I think he showed us last year that he could be a worthy piece on this team. But the thing is, he's a second baseman.
Agreed.
And I think, honestly, he's more of a third baseman even than he is a shortstop. And so they kind of have a weird look in the infield right now where they've signed Odor, and he's on a major league deal, so he's probably going to play. And then you have Mateo and Arias and Gutierrez and Jemai Jones and potentially Rylan Bannon. And you have all these infielders, but none of them are shortstops.
Right.
And so some of them can play shortstop, but none of them are shortstops. And so it makes you think like the O's have to go get a shortstop. And yes, it will probably be more so like a reunion with Jose Iglesias, but I'm not closing that Correa door. But like you said, like I think Arias should play, just not at short every day.
Yeah, I think he's more so a second baseman. But again, and I keep forgetting about Rougned Odor because I don't put a lot of stock into Rougned Odor. I see a guy who barely hits 200. He'll hit a big home run for you every now and again, but more often than not, he's going to roll over or he's going to strike out. I see a guy who's going to hit 199 for your ball club, so I don't really look at him as an answer for this roster right now. But the Orioles have gone out and they signed Odor. They signed Jordan Lyles. It's still pending a physical, which I think will probably get done once he gets to Sarasota. I'm looking at this team. What other free agent signings do you think that this team could make? We're not looking at them going out and getting Trevor Story, but maybe they could get a lesser player, maybe a starting pitcher. They need catching. Who do you see them going after in free agency?
Yeah, I would, obviously we've talked about it. A shortstop is a need. And I honestly think, like, if they don't get Correa, I think Iglesias is just, like, too perfect of a fit.
Mm-hmm.
He's already been here. He has already had success here. He showed he can still hit when he got to Boston at the end of last year. And he's not the elite defender he used to be, but when he's healthy, he's still pretty good at shortstop.
Right.
And I think that just makes too much sense for the Orioles not to do it if they, as I probably expect, are not in on the Correa situation. In terms of beyond that, I would honestly like to see them sign another infielder. I mean, I know they want to get Arias reps and maybe get another look at Gutierrez and, still give Jemai Jones a shot. And I think, Arias is in there and Odor's already there. But if you look at some of the other infielders who are out there, I mean, there's not a lot of great options, but they were connected to a guy like Donovan Solano before the lockout. I think that's a pretty good pickup, a guy who can play second and third, a veteran guy who, if it were a player like that, can come in and help your team. And there's some other, names like that out there. But besides that, I mean, a starting pitcher. Like, I like the Jordan Lyles signing. At the end of the day, he's a guy who has stayed healthy recently and thrown a lot of innings. So I will take that in the rotation. But, it's kind of the two-way street of, they have all these kind of tweener starters that they need to get a look at, but you can't just rely on all those tweener starters because we saw what happened when they did that last year.
Right.
Then Means and Zimmerman got hurt, and it was a disaster. So they need to bring in a better than Matt Harvey type option. And, I would even, Martin Perez could have been an answer. He got signed up yesterday. I could see even a guy like a Yusei Kikuchi, who was with the Mariners for the last couple of years. He's kind of like the next best pitcher that's kind of in the Orioles more so price range that's out there on the market. A Matthew Boyd, who got non-tendered by the Tigers after a kind of a rough year, but he's had success in the past. I would go after him. Even a Chris Archer for kind of a bounce-back year, a guy we know from the division. Any of those guys who will command major league deals 1 to 2 years, $5 to $10 million a year, I think they could go after. And then maybe the last thing I would look for, I think this offseason might need to be the first time where maybe they do bring in an actual reliever in free agency. And I know they have a lot of bullpen pieces that they're kind of churning through right now. And it doesn't have to be like a lockdown closer, but a legitimate major league reliever, I think, to come in on this team would definitely help them at this point. And someone in like the, Michael Gibbons ilk, they probably wouldn't bring him back, but like a Jake Diekman type of guy who's like a veteran, who's not necessarily a closer, but can just help your pen and help these young pitchers. I think that's kind of what I would do if I were Michael Hyatt.
Well, yeah, the Orioles, they have some electric arms in their bullpen. You look at Tanner Scott, Dylan Tate, Tyler Wells, Cole Sulser even. Cole Sulser, I think he and Tyler Wells, I think are going to split duties as the closer. But they do need that guy who's going to kind of bridge the gap in the middle innings. If your starter goes 5 innings, they need that guy who can pitch the 6th, maybe even 7th innings to get you to those electric arms. I think that's very important. I like your point on that one. Now, speaking of pitching, John Mioli wrote in his newsletter the other day that Grayson Rodriguez and DL Hall should be here by mid-season. I get Grayson Rodriguez. He could be here sooner than that. DL Hall is a guy, never thrown more than 91 innings. He only had 7 starts and 32 innings last year. He was dominant, but he had the stress reaction in his elbow. Now, he's been putting out pretty confident tweets recently saying that he's going to be one of the best to ever do it. He has to say that because he has to believe in himself. I get that. Where are you with DL Hall? Do you look at this as a make-or-break year for him as far as his starting rotation piece? Do you think he ultimately ends up a back-end part of a bullpen? Where do you stand with DL Hall as we currently sit?
Yeah, I get the people who say, like, this could be the next Josh Hader. And at the end of the day, you know, a good team, when the Orioles are a good team, if you have a guy like Josh Hader, he is a huge reason why the Brewers, who literally have Christian Yelich and then 8 replaceable guys in their lineup, keep getting to the playoffs. Obviously, their starting rotation helps, but they've got one of the best closers at the back end of the bullpen and, throws hard from the left side. And obviously the Orioles did literally have Josh Hader at one time before trading him away. But, I still think there's more from DL Hall. Like, I see him being a Blake Snell type of pitcher. I think that can still happen. And I don't think this is any kind of make or break year. I'd like to see him stay healthy for the whole year because we haven't seen that in a normal season yet. And I don't think him and Grayson are on the same timeline. I honestly think DL Hall could start the year at AA again, even though he's on the 40-man roster, just because he hasn't gotten to AAA and he only got so much AA time last year before the injury. I do think Grayson Rodriguez will be in Norfolk, and he could definitely be and should be, if all goes well, in the big leagues by, the All-Star break. For DL Hall, I would like to see him in the bigs, at the end of the year, but I wouldn't even be surprised if he just ends the year, in Norfolk after, a month and a half in Bowie, a full season in Norfolk, and he's, in the opening day rotation next year. Again, I'd like to see him this year if he's healthy. But just at the end of the day, give me a healthy season with a lot of strikeouts, with that velocity still up and the stuff looking good. And I won't be too upset if we don't see a whole lot of him this year, as long as it's only because, they're trying to play it safe and he is healthy, and it's not because, he gets injured again.
And then finally, we haven't talked to you since the Orioles moved this wall back, and a lot of people are up in arms about it. The conversation's kind of fallen by the wayside since then. But your thoughts on this new left field wall? They pushed it back 30 feet in some spaces. They raised it up to 12 feet high, so the robberies are going to be gone. How does this impact the pitching staff? How does this impact the offense? And does it matter because the Orioles have been drafting these college bats with high OBP, low strike rates that can have really good bat-to-ball skills and they can spray the ball all over? What does this do to the team on both sides?
I'm kind of on board. I think.
I am too.
You look at the Orioles lineup, maybe not right now because there's still a lot of questions, but what they would like it to be. And you have Ryan Mountcastle in there, and, people put out some of the numbers that said essentially, Mountcastle would have lost maybe 3 home runs at Camden Yards last year. Like, he was hitting the ball deep into the left field seats. You look at what they're trying to do with this lineup. You have Adley Rutschman, who's a switch hitter, but has showed a little more pop from the left side throughout his career. You have the guys you've drafted, Colton Cowser, a lefty, Heston Kjerstad, a lefty. Obviously, Cedric Mullinger, breakout player, has gone just to the left side. So you have these guys who have power who are left-handed hitters, and, they're going to play with the flag court in right field. And your right-handed hitters are kind of Ryan Mountcastle, and then we'll see. You have Austin Hayes still on this team. We'll see. This will be a big year to see what kind of future piece he's going to be. And then after that, you go through the system, and there's not a lot of, big-time hitting prospects who are right-handed. You throw like a Jordan Westberg into that mix, and, if you still believe it all in Yusniel Diaz, he's in that mix. But at the end of the day, like, the top hitting prospects, the Cowsers, the Stowers, even guys like a Robert Newstrom who broke out last year, obviously a Heston Kjerstad and Adley Rutschman as a switch hitter, you're looking at a lot of guys who are going to feast from the left side of the plate, and this isn't going to really hurt them as much. You look at the Orioles outfield, they got a lot of outfielders who can cover a lot of ground. You're not really worried about that once, DJ Stewart is off the team. And then you look at the pitching, you've got a lot of left-handed pitchers currently on this team with, not just John Means, but Wells and Lowther and Zimmerman and Aiken and all these guys. And then you've got more lefties coming up who we're excited about, like DL Hall and Drew Rom. And obviously, right-handed hitters against left-handed pitchers, in the past at Camden Yards, they have feasted on, the shorter wall, the shorter distance down the left field line. And I think that could help the Orioles, too, with all their lefties. against these big-time power-hitting right-handed lineups in the division. You look at the Yankees, Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton. That's pretty scary from the right side.
Yeah.
Gary Sanchez, Gleyber Torres as well. You look at the Blue Jays with Vladdy Guerrero and, obviously Oriole killer Randall Grichuk and everything they've got from the right side of the plate. And you go up and down these lineups they're going to face. They are right-handed heavy, power-hitting lineups against a rotation that's being more left-handed heavy. And a lineup for the Orioles that is left-handed heavy as well. I think this is kind of moving your stadium for the roster you're building. And maybe this is like the next wave of the, analytics movement in baseball, is not crafting a roster to your stadium, but maybe crafting your stadium a little bit to the roster. And who knows, maybe Mike Elias is kind of, operating a couple years ahead right now, and I can see this maybe working out.
That's the best argument that I've heard for the wall. That's the best argument I've heard for the wall. And you didn't even mention the fact that it could help them attract more free agent starting pitchers, but it seems more so, to your point, that this wall is being pushed back because they know the players that they have in their system that are coming up, and it's only going to help the type of ball club that they're going to be. That was an excellent statement there. Thank you for giving it to us. Connor, what do you have coming up on the podcast? What do you got going on in your life? Any closing thoughts for us today?
Yeah, so on Locked On Orioles, next week is the last week where we are 3 episodes a week. After that, it's into, almost the season starts mode. So starting March 20th, 5 days a week on the podcast. The pod is now also on YouTube. So if anyone prefers watching the podcast as well, we are up on the Locked On Orioles YouTube page. Make sure to subscribe to that. In terms of this week, we're going to talk a little bit about the minor league free agents that the Orioles brought in over the past 2 weeks. But basically, I'm waiting for the O's to make a major league signing, and we will be on top of those major league signings, covering it all on Locked On Orioles, covering what's going on down in spring training as more and more of the journalists get down to Sarasota as we happily, on the pod, get ready for an April 8th opening day.
Sounds awesome, man. We are certainly looking forward to it. Let's talk sooner rather than later, all right, Connor?
Sounds good to me.
All right, man. You have a great weekend. Enjoy this free agent frenzy that we hope gets ramped up a little bit today. We'll talk to you soon. All right, and that was Connor Newcomb from the Locked On Orioles podcast joining us live today on the show. Had a lot of big things to say. That argument that he made for the wall, best one I've heard.
Yeah, it's a great argument. I think that, like you said at the end, that attracting free agent starting pitching is going to be so important for the Orioles in the coming years, and it's really going to make them. It's really going to be a key piece to making them competitive and to revitalizing this organization and becoming what they were from 2012 to 2016. And you really needed this. And like Connor said, I'm on board with it. It's a really good move. And he made some great points. And it's
the stockpiling of left-handed hitters that they're going to have,
right?
And they're still going to have that short porch in right field. And they're still going to have that gap. And
like you said, you're not worried about Rutschman or Mountcastle not being able to hit home runs because they hit the ball a long way. You're not worried about that.
Carlos Correa, who has the longest home run in the history of Camden Yards.
Right, I mean, he hit
475
over the second bullpen. And like you mentioned, too, Jordan Westberg. I mean, you're not worried about those guys.
Right, and then when you have a guy like Colton Cowles who can come up, who can literally hit the ball all over the field.
Right.
It's exciting. I honestly think that this wall is going to make the Orioles a better hitting team.
Make them great again?
Make them gray again?
Great. I said great.
Make Orioles great again?
Bad joke. I'm sorry. Bad joke.
We're gonna take a break on that bad joke that Zach just gave us there. Just want to remind you guys that sports betting has come to Maryland, and we're ready to help you win some money. Tune in for Simply the Bets with Glenn Clark and myself every Tuesday morning at 11:40. FanDuel Sportsbook GM Bruce Billick and VSiN's Aaron Oster join the guys every week to give you all of the info you need and even a few winners. So come win some money with us on Simply the Bets every Tuesday at 11:40 a.m. Brought to you by the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. Listen at PressBoxOnline.com/radio. Watch at YouTube.com/PressBoxOnline. And every other Thursday at 11:40, tune in for Weekend at Bookies as Andrew Stecca and BetPrep's Brad Feinberg help make you some money for the weekend. When we come back on the Bat Around, Orioles Banter.
Glory Days Grill's St. Patrick's menu is now in full swing, and it's their most popular seasonal menu all year. New in 2022 are their smoky thigh wings with Guinness grilling sauce, a house-made Guinness barbecue sauce. Fan favorites also include their corned beef and cabbage, the shepherd's pie with Guinness braised ground beef, the Glory Days Reuben, and the Rachel. Enjoy a pint of Guinness or Guinness Baltimore Blonde. The St. Patrick's menu is available for the whole month of March. Come in for great food, cold beer, and basketball. Find out more about Glory Days Grill and get your order in online at glorydaysgrill.com.
That first sip. That first bite. Start your day off right with a delicious breakfast at Royal Farms. Choose from a fantastic selection of fresh Royal Farms breakfast sandwiches and top it off with a rich hot cup of the freshest coffee in the world. At Royal Farms, breakfast is available day and night. It's the freshest breakfast in the world. Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
Sports betting has come to Maryland, and we're ready to help you win some money. Tune in for Simply the Bets with Glenn Clark and Paul Valley every Tuesday morning at 11:40. FanDuel Sportsbook GM Bruce Billick and VSiN's Aaron Oster join the guys every week to give you all of the info you need and even a few winners. So come win some money with us on Simply the Bets every Tuesday at 11:40 a.m. Brought to you by the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. Listen at PressBoxOnline.com/radio. Watch at YouTube.com/PressBoxOnline.
The newest edition of PressBox is available now. On the cover, we celebrate the 20th anniversary of Maryland men's basketball's 2002 NCAA Tournament Championship, as Gary Williams reflects on how the program rose from the ashes of NCAA sanctions to the pinnacle of the sport, and why his perspective of the title run has changed now 2 decades later. Plus, Juan Dixon, Lonnie Baxter, and the rest of the team relive the moments that ultimately led them to cutting down the nets in Atlanta. PressBox is available for free at over 500 area locations, including 60 Royal Farms stores. And you can always find the entire edition, as well as the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps at PressBoxOnline.com.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
Welcome back to the Batter Round, a really, really lively show here today because baseball's back, and we couldn't be happier. We couldn't be more thrilled to actually have something to talk about rather than two sides beating their heads against the wall. Zach, you have there is a trade that has been made that you wanted to tell everybody a little bit about.
Yeah, so a decent-sized trade, really the first one that's happened so far. So I did want to just break it down. It's not a huge thing, but Minnesota and the Texas Rangers have made a swap. It's a 2-for-1 deal. 2 players coming from Texas, which are Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, difficult name to say there, and they also sent Ronnie Henriquez. He's ranked number 15 by MLB Pipeline on their top 30 for the Rangers. He's a young starting pitcher, right-hander. And then Mitch Garver from the Minnesota Twins is going to go back to Texas, which is a relatively sizable move. I mean, I didn't realize this, but Kiner-Falefa was worth 3.7 to WAR last year. The guy's legit. He's a really good defender, can hit a little bit. Mitch Garver was worth about 2.7. Garver, had 1,000 OPS basically a few years ago, hit 31 home runs. This is 2019, obviously, I'm talking about. The guy is a really good hitter. Mitch Garver is one of the best catchers in baseball. He doesn't really get a lot of appreciation, but Texas now, if you look at them, I mean, they didn't really need Kiner-Falefa anymore because they got rid of, or they added Corey Seager and Marcus Semien up the middle. They don't really need Kiner-Falefa. And now you've got Mitch Garver to catch for you, and you've got a lineup now that's starting to look more and more formidable. And this is, look, I think Texas wins this trade, in my opinion. I mean, the Twins got a prospect. They got their shortstop, I guess. I mean, I know they already have Jorge Polanco, so I don't know where Kiner-Falefa is going to play. But, look, I mean, this is an interesting deal, and I think it's very fair. But, man, I mean, Texas is really loading up on their bats. They got some good guys.
Yeah, it just what it's going to come down to for Texas is who's going to pitch.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And right now, if you look at the rotation, it's terrible.
Yeah,
it's horrible.
It's not good. That's why I really thought they were going to be in on Clayton Kershaw. He's a Texas guy. He's probably going to sign a short
He's just
deal.
such a Dodger, though.
Yeah, he is. He is the Dodgers.
Yeah.
I get that. I just really thought they'd be in on him. And I'm not privy to all the pitching that's still out there, but the big names are gone.
Right.
The big names are gone, and you spent a lot of money.
I mean, they spent like $560 million in 2 days.
Yeah,
so
you spent a lot of money on your offense
Right.
and your defense.
It's gonna be tough.
But where's the pitching going to come from?
Right. If you look at the rotation, I can pull that up real quick. It's really bad. I mean, you've got Dane Dunning, Dane Dunning I think is going to be a good starter in this league. But look, I mean, when you have the rotation that they have, I don't see how they make a playoff, appearance this year. I really doubt it. And after spending $560 million. Honestly, you kind of expect that at this point. But we're looking at John Gray as the ace, who they signed, obviously, for $55 million. Dane Dunning is the number 2. Dane Dunning is a good pitcher. That'll be fine. But then behind him, you've got Taylor Hearn, A.J. Alexy, and Spencer Howard. Not great.
Their rotation, and that's assuming that nobody gets hurt.
Right.
It's like what Connor just mentioned with the Orioles. They had John Means and Bruce Zimmerman last year. They both got hurt,
right?
And the wheels fell. I mean,
Nothing
the wheels
else.
were already falling off anyway, but they completely fell off. There's some guys out there that could still be had. Zach Davies is still out there. Zach Greinke, Danny Duffy, Drew Smiley. These guys are still out there. Michael Pineda, Garrett Richards. You have some guys out there that can still pitch a little bit.
Garrett Richards wouldn't be a bad ad. Garrett Richards is not too bad.
And if he has an opportunity to start, I mean, Boston kind of relegated him to the bullpen last year. I think Garrett Richards is still a good pitcher.
I don't think he's bad at all. No.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be a bad move for the Orioles to make.
Yeah, and let's talk about that a little bit. Yeah. I don't know what these guys are going to command. Yeah. I don't think that Zach Greinke would come to a team like the Orioles.
No,
and
no way.
I don't think he would cost at a minimum $15 million.
I would think more than that.
And but you also have to look at how the Astros used him down the stretch last year. Maybe that lowered his market value.
Yeah, it's just name recognition too with him though.
Yeah.
Everyone knows it, and he knows he can command a big salary because of his name. And I also think, like I said in the beginning of the show, that pitching is at such a premium right now. A guy like Zack Greinke, who has that kind of track record and that kind of leadership he brings to a clubhouse, I think he's going to cost quite a bit.
Yeah. How about you say Kikuchi?
I mean, for the Orioles, you're saying?
Yeah, I like the arm.
It would make sense.
I like the arm. I don't think he prices himself out of being in Baltimore.
No, I don't think he does necessarily. I think he's probably going to get like $12 million maybe.
He's
$12 million per year.
He's a big league pitcher.
Yeah, he is.
He's a big league pitcher.
And he's an upgrade over Jordan Lyles. I mean, he's a better pitcher than Jordan Lyles, and he's certainly a better pitcher than anyone else in the Orioles rotation outside of John Means. So yeah, I mean, he would be a nice pitcher for the Orioles to have, but I think he's probably going to cost you $12 million plus a year.
Yeah, and his career high for innings is 161 2/3 his first year. His career ERA 4.97.
It's not. I'll take that.
Yeah, I mean, whip 1.4, fielding independent pitching 4.93.
Okay, so he's pitching a little better than his ERA shows,
but barely.
Barely. Yeah, I mean, look, if he's your number 3 behind Lyles and Means, or even your number 2 behind Means, it's not a bad ad. I mean, but at the price he's going to cost you, you're going to have to pay that premium.
Well, look, they got to go out and get another starting pitcher.
Yeah.
I don't think that you can enter, and maybe. I have a lot of hope for Michael Baumann. A lot of people say that they think he's going to end up in the back end of the bullpen, and ultimately that might be where he goes. But I have a lot of hope for Michael Baumann to make it into the Orioles rotation this year. Yeah. I think it's up to him. And just like – so I didn't get to say this to Connor. It slipped my mind. But with Adley Rutschman, right, it's up to him to force the Orioles' hand in spring training. He needs if he hits 350 with 3 home runs over the next 3 weeks – or we can say 5 home runs over the next 3 weeks, the Orioles really can't justify sending him down. You look at it on the other side of things, like a guy like a Michael Baumann and a Keegan Aiken. Keegan Aiken last year had a rotation spot from day one in spring training, and then was terrible.
Beyond terrible.
He was beyond terrible.
He was awful.
And then he actually ended up becoming a decent pitcher down the stretch for the Orioles this past season. It's up to these guys to come in and have a good spring.
100%.
And make it so that they have to be part of your plans.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big deal to come in and show out, and certainly like for a guy like Aiken to be better than he was last year. It's really important to be. I mean, Aiken, I don't see Aiken as a long-term piece for this team.
No, he's not.
I never really have, but I mean, if he can be a 5 this year, then you're getting a little bit of value out of him.
And a guy, and we were talking about Zack Greinke. He's a bit of a soft tosser at this point in his career. But
I mean, he throws like 86, but
he's still effective.
Yeah.
And you look at Alexander Wells, and Alexander Wells in the minors can locate.
Yeah.
And he's a soft tosser, big looping curveball. Yeah. Had command issues when he got to the majors. Look, I'm not comparing him to Zack Greinke. He's not Zack Greinke. But if he can find a way to locate and get the command issues that have never hampered him in the minors, and then he comes to the majors and he can't put the ball over the plate, if he can find a way to pitch with that kind of pinpoint control, he could be an effective arm for the Orioles. And when we say effective arm, I don't think that there's anybody aside from John Means in this starting rotation that's going to have a sub-4 ERA. I just don't. But if you can have 4 other guys who pitched about a 4.5,
you're fine. You're fine.
I'm good with that.
More than good than that's great.
Yeah,
that's going to win you quite a bit of games.
And you're going to get Grayson Rodriguez up here by midseason.
Right. So there's another starter immediately, and you add in him, Means, Lyles, you add in Kikuchi, a guy like that. I mean, you're sitting pretty good. Bruce Zimmerman to finish it out. Keegan Aiken has no place in that. Simple as that. I mean, and Dean Kramer, probably not either.
Yeah, Dean Kramer was such a disappointment last year.
Oh, man, we loved Dean Kramer, me and you.
Yeah.
We loved him. And then
I was watching him in the
off
offseason touching 96, and then he gets to the majors, and he just can't throw strikes.
One thing I said last year, and I remember talking to Stan about this specifically, that he throws so many fastballs, and it's just I honestly think that's one of the biggest issues with him is he just needs to add another pitch maybe or stop throwing the fastball
He's got a good curveball.
And his curveball is a 12-6, and if he can locate the curveball, it's a really good pitch, and the cutter is not bad either. But and he's got a changeup that's not awful either. But he throws the fastball too much, and it's kind of flat. Doesn't have a lot. It had a little bit of arm side run, but not. It's rough.
It's so crazy to me that this time last year we were talking about Dean Kramer and how he could be a future piece for this team.
Yeah.
And now we barely remember that he exists because he was so bad last year.
I look at him as a better pitcher still than a guy like Keegan Aiken. I look at him more. He's like kind of in between Aiken and Zimmerman, if that makes sense. He's kind of like, but he's more like close to Aiken than he is Zimmerman. If that makes sense.
If you give me a starting rotation that is in June or July, I'm looking at John Means, Jordan Lyles, Grayson Rodriguez, Michael Baumann, and Bruce Zimmerman. I'm good with that.
Did you mention Ballman before? I might have missed that.
Yeah, he was the first. He was the first one I mentioned.
Oh, okay, you said a lot of names. Sorry.
And I said that a lot of people, and I might be part of them, think that he is destined for a back in the bullpen spot. But right now, you can't ignore his numbers in the minor leagues.
So I heard last year that there were some people in the Orioles organization who liked Ballman almost as much as they liked a guy like DL Hall. There were some people that are really high on Ballman.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if that's changed after last. That was before last season, in the last minor league season. But I know there were some people who were very high on him within the Orioles. So, I mean, Ballman's going to get a chance. I have no doubt about that. And obviously, it's more up to Brandon Hyde than it is the front office guys. But I'd be very surprised if Ballman doesn't make like 15 starts this year, 16 starts.
I'm looking at him to crack the opening day. If they don't sign anybody else, they got to fill out that rotation.
He's got to be.
I'm looking at him to crack that opening day rotation. And again, it's all about getting out. And that's one of these storylines is the starting pitching. And it sounds stupid to say, well, it's a storyline. Yeah, no, duh. It's a story. It's the storyline. It's a bigger storyline than Adley Rutschman, frankly, is your starting rotation because that was the downfall of – they were historically bad last year, by a wide margin.
Yeah.
The downfall of the Orioles over the last 30 years has been their starting rotation.
Yeah.
You look at the 2014 Orioles. They were a good ball club. They were a great ball club. Why were they so good? Their starting rotation ERA was 3.61.
And not only that, they had an unbelievable core of power bats that led them there. But yeah, I agree.
But they had the same bats in 2013.
Yeah.
They had basically the same bats with the exception of no Cruz and Marquez.
Right,
they got a full season after that out of Matt Wieters and Manny Machado, and Chris Davis bounced back from his terrible 2014 to hit 47 home runs.
Yeah.
The offense was there, and Scope had a big year. He hit like 290 that year.
Scope, yep.
Or 279 or something like that. But
often gets forgotten.
Yeah, and the offense was fine in 2015. The pitching was terrible.
Right.
And that's the thing. The Orioles, for the majority of my life,
their
best teams have been, you look at the 97 Orioles, they were so good because their team ERA was 3.5.
Hence why the Orioles moved back the wall.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that, really.
Yeah, the wall.
The wall again. But it really is. It ties into all of this, that the Orioles moved back the wall because they haven't had a lot of success in the past 20, 30 years pitching-wise. They just haven't. And you look at the glory days of the Orioles in the 60s and the 70s when they had guys winning 20 games and, the Jim Palmers of the world, the Cuellars and whatever. But at this point now, they haven't really been able to develop a lot of guys, and there isn't a lot of talent in the system at the moment outside of the guys like Grayson Rodriguez. So, yeah, you're right. I mean, they're going to have to add, and especially for this season, they need guys just to throw innings. Because last year, we saw them making waiver claims, and, I mean, they were just guys. It was horrible.
Spencer Watkins should never be a big story for your ball club.
He's still on the team. I saw Eric Garfield post some video of him yesterday.
Yeah, he got a line drive hit off his glove.
I'm not surprised.
I think it was by Robert Newstrom. No, Robert Newstrom had a nice base hit up the middle. It was somebody else. It was Creed Willems.
Okay.
The 8th round pick that the Orioles got to forego college commitment.
He can hit a bit.
Yeah, he hit a line drive right back up the box. He ended up being thrown out at first by Spencer Watkins, but it hit him in the glove.
He's not the fastest guy.
Nah, he's not fleet of foot. No, but the Orioles need some guys to step up. They need to go out and get some starting pitching. It's going to be the biggest storyline of spring training. And we talk about how you can't tax the arms of your bullpen because your bullpen will fall apart. You have to look at the long haul, too. How many years in a row can you have your bullpen pitching more innings than your starting rotation and basically throwing out these guys' arms?
Right.
You've got to do something about that now, in my opinion. And that's why that's why they went out and got Jordan Lyles. And that's why they might go get another starting pitcher. Yeah. And I'm really, really looking forward to see some of these young pitchers like a Michael Ballman step up and see what they can do in 2022. Now, some other storylines, there's no Rule 5 draft pick this year, which means Nick Vespi and Robert Newstrom have an opportunity to go out and prove something. And, Zach, you believe that Robert Newstrom could probably be on the big league roster now. You love this guy.
I wouldn't say I like him a lot. I don't love him to the same degree of like Adley Rutschman or something like that. But he is I think he's a really good power bat. It's going to be a lot of swing and miss. He's going to strike out a lot. He's like a budget Stowers. He's not quite to the level of Stowers, but he's going to play a pretty decent outfield for you. He's going to hit a little bit, strike out a lot. But look, I think Robert Newstrom should be the starting right fielder on opening day. I really think he should. Not that he will, but he should.
Well, and he has an opportunity. He has an opportunity to earn his way onto that Orioles 40-man roster.
Does he really make it past Santander, though? I don't know.
Well, Santander's got to prove that he can stay healthy.
Not a Santander guy anymore,
and Santander could be traded.
He easily could be traded. We can see that in the next,
week
couple
or so.
days.
Yeah,
I mean, right? It's definitely a possibility, and if they get an offer, I believe Mike Elias would pull the trigger there because there are simply better prospects in this organization than a guy like Santander is at this point.
Yeah, and then I look at a guy like Kyle Stowers. He was your co-minor league player of the year last year with Adley Rutschman. Hit 27 homers, led the Orioles farm system in home runs, RBIs.
Yeah.
He was up there in OPS. He hit about 279. His on-base percentage was phenomenal.
Yeah.
He had a great season. Nobody talks about him.
Right. Because he did strike out a lot, and I guess that's probably the reason for that. But everybody
strikes out a lot these days.
Yeah, and that's fine. Like I know for a fact that MLB teams are very fine with strikeouts. They don't really care.
Yeah, and he's not even a top 10 prospect, which your co-minor league player of the year isn't a top 10 prospect in this system.
Yeah, it's kind of odd. It's kinda odd.
Because that's how good their system is.
Well, I bet you the Orioles view him as a top 10 prospect.
Maybe. But we saw in one of Eric's videos yesterday, he took Grayson Rodriguez deep to right field.
He did.
Yesterday.
You love to see
it. We're not worried about Grayson Rodriguez. No. So if he gives up a home run to Kyle Stowers, I'm more excited that Kyle Stowers hit a home run than I'm upset that Grayson Rodriguez gave one up. Because pitchers give up home runs. I really, really am excited to see what he's going to do in spring training. I think he's going to get a lot of time.
Sure. Yeah.
And maybe... It's so weird, man. And let's talk about this a little bit. And I know we're running long today, but who cares? We're excited.
I got nowhere to be. It's snowing outside.
Yeah, it's not snowing anymore.
Oh, not anymore?
There's no precipitaciones going on out there. But
that's a big word.
It's not a real word. I acting like it's Spanish for precipitation.
I got it. Got the context.
But spring training is 4 weeks.
Yeah.
So how much of these games that start on the 18th are going to feature minor league guys, and how much are they going to feature Orioles regulars? Now, look, on March 18th, Trey Mancini's not going to play 6 innings.
Yeah,
he'll probably get 2 at bats. He'll probably get 2 at bats. Right.
I would think you'll see a good amount of regulars and very quickly because they need to build up.
I think undoubtedly you're going to see a lot of Adley Rutschman.
Oh, yeah.
Undoubtedly.
Oh my God, yeah.
But I'm interested to see how much of Kyle Stowers you're going to see, how much of Robert Newstrom.
Probably more Newstrom than Stowers, but a lot of both for sure.
Yeah, I'm interested to see if Colton Calister finds his way over to the park and gets in a game and see how he does against that kind of pitching.
I would say undoubtedly.
Yeah, this is. I love spring training because you get to see all these younger players, and it's your first taste of baseball before you get ready for the real thing. But yeah, man, I want to see Kyle Stowers. I'm excited about him. I think he could be patrolling right field more often than not when the season is all said and done. So we're going to see how that goes. Heston Kjerstad, we have to mention quickly, he pulled his hamstring. Adley Rutschman hit an inside the park home run yesterday, and it was when Kjerstad went for a diving play in left field, and he pulled his hamstring. We don't know how serious the pull is, but it's not good for a guy who – and look – myocarditis is a really serious thing, and we're not blaming him or coming down on him for suffering that. No. But the pulled hamstring, you know that he's going full bore and probably went a little harder than he should so early on.
Maybe.
So we have to see. Hopefully, it's something mild. But any setback for Heston Kjerstad, you don't want to see it after he's basically missed 2 years.
I'm no doctor, but I think he'll be all right. I feel like a pulled hamstring is not that big of a deal, but maybe it might keep him out for a week and a half.
I've pulled a hammy or two in my day. You come back.
Right. I mean, I feel like it's more about it not developing into something bigger.
Yeah,
like if he runs on it too early and then it could tear something.
Getting the conditioning down, easing your way into things. We're not doctors. My dad is. I'm not.
Get him on the show. Let's bring him on right now.
I'm not going to pretend. Yeah. He is going to sit in on GCR on opening day because he's going to opening day with me. So that'll be cool. But yeah, I'm not putting a lot of too much into it. It's still early on. Maybe they rest him for a couple of weeks, and either way, he's not in the Orioles' plans this year. So he's going to be at high A or probably at the best double A at a point. But we do have to mention on the show that he did pull his hamstring. And real quick, with the ramping up of spring training and getting it in just 4 weeks. Extra roster spots for the first month. Do you think they're going to do that?
I think they should. But
I think they will.
I believe I saw yesterday that they weren't going to. I thought I saw that at least. Or maybe that was speculation.
I think you're going to get 2 weeks in.
I think 28 people would make a lot of sense. I think, especially for pitchers.
Just for a month.
Right. It's going to be so difficult for pitchers to ramp up so quickly. I think that's one of the things. Like, sure, they've been working out all season, but it's not to the same degree that they would have been. I think that's the big change.
All right. Well, we got to get our final break of the show. Have I done all my reads? I have.
I've got one more over here.
Zach, send us to break with your Glenn Clark radio read, and then when we come back, go ahead.
Pressbox's Glenn Clark Radio is the definitive place to find the best daily discussion of Baltimore sports. Watch the show every weekday from 10 to noon at youtube.com/pressboxonline or facebook.com/pressboxsports or listen to pressboxonline.com/radio with podcasts available on iTunes, Spotify, or anywhere you get your podcasts. You never know who might pop up on GCR. This week, the guys caught up with new Orioles full-time TV broadcaster Kevin Brown, NFL draft prospect and former Terp Chance Campbell, and former Oriole Mike Bordick. Find those interviews and more in the Glenn Clark and Radio Week in Review feature right now at PressBoxOnline.com.
All right, when we come back in on the batter round, we're going to close things out with a little bit of trivia and our final thoughts on the Orioles, the CBA, and spring training. That and more next on the batter round.
Sports fans, the wait is over. The all-new FanDuel Sportsbook is now open at Live Casino and Hotel in Hanover, Maryland. This is your chance to win big right in your own backyard. Bet on every sport with self-service kiosks and watch all of the action from the best seat in the house. Make every moment more at the all-new FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel in Hanover. Please play responsibly. Gambling problem? Please call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit mdgamblinghelp.org.
That first sip. That first bite. Start your day off right with a delicious breakfast at Royal Farms. Choose from a fantastic selection of fresh Royal Farms breakfast sandwiches and top it off with a rich hot cup of the freshest coffee in the world. At Royal Farms, breakfast is available day and night. It's the freshest breakfast in the world. Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
The newest edition of Press Box is available now. On the cover, we celebrate the 20th anniversary of Maryland men's basketball's 2002 NCAA Tournament Championship, as Gary Williams reflects on how the program rose from the ashes of NCAA sanctions to the pinnacle of the sport, and why his perspective of the title run has changed now 2 decades later. Plus, Juan Dixon, Lonnie Baxter, and the rest of the team relive the moments that ultimately led them to cutting down the nets in Atlanta. Press Box is available for free at over 500 area locations, including 60 Royal Farms stores. And you can always find the entire edition, as well as the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps at PressBoxOnline.com.
The biggest pro wrestling stars today and all time all have one thing in common. You've heard them on Jobbing Out.
Matt and Nick Jackson, the Young Bucks.
Thanks for having us, man. Appreciate it.
The great Kurt Angle.
Thanks for having me on the show. I appreciate it.
Matt Riddle.
Yeah, man. Thanks, man.
The champ, Drew McIntyre.
Oh, thank you for having me.
The great Ron Simmons.
Keith Lee.
Appreciate you guys having me, man.
Bill Goldberg.
My pleasure.
Charlotte.
Thank you so much for having me.
Mick Foley is with us.
This is the greatest name for a wrestling show I've ever heard.
MJF.
I'm glad you're happy I'm on this show because I'm freaking miserable.
Le champion!
Chris Jericho.
Le champion.
AJ, Aaron, Brandon, and Glenn are talking pro wrestling every week on Jobbing Out. Find it at PressBoxOnline.com/radio, iTunes, and SoundCloud.
The Toyota Tacoma comes in a wide range of models and trim lines. You can choose the perfect Toyota to reflect your unique personality and driving habits. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Tacomas from your local Toyota dealer today.
Paul loves his Glenn Clark Radio, former Glenn Clark Radio music.
2 weeks without it. It was one of the most disappointing things. The disappointing thing when I joined Glenn Clark Radio, I was like, I get to hear this music every day, and he was like, nope, we got new music. I was like,
Yeah.
All right, I like the new music too, but
I mean, I've heard the new music. I don't think it matches up to this. It's
this
good.
This is a jam.
I got some more news for us. I missed this before, but Jorge Soler is getting some interest from the Astros, the Dodgers, the Marlins, the Rangers, and the Red Sox. So just throwing that out there.
He's gonna end up with the Red Sox.
I could really see that.
He's gonna end up with the Red Sox, hitting bombs over that
hitting
Green
198
monster.
though. He's like a Rougned Odor in the outfield, but he's way better than Rougned Odor.
Jorge Soler led the majors in home runs a few years back.
Yeah,
he had 48 home runs. I think that player's still in there. And I think he's probably gonna be playing with a lot of confidence.
He just strikes out so much.
Everybody strikes out so much. Everybody strikes out.
I get it, but
nobody cares anymore. Everybody strikes out.
Yeah.
It's a thing.
I don't dislike it. I'm just saying.
No, I dislike it wholeheartely. But like you always say,
he hits two. I mean,
he just strikes out so much. Everybody. Mike Trout strikes out a shit ton.
I mean, he was a
lot.
He was a negative .3 WAR player last year, and I'm saying that could have contributed to it.
Yeah, but that was before he got to Atlanta, and that was before he became World Series MVP.
Yeah, he was very good in Atlanta. With KC, he was horrible. He hit 192 with KC, but then he went to Atlanta, 269, 882 OPS. So yeah, he definitely improved himself.
And I think that he is playing with a lot of confidence right now.
Yeah, he might be.
After what he did in the postseason, I think he knows that player's still in there that led the majors in home runs. I'm looking at him as he'll probably go to Boston. He'll hit 7th for them, and he'll hit 32 home runs.
Yeah, I can see it.
Over that big green monster out there.
I can see it.
Some 301-foot home runs.
Yeah.
But yeah. So hey, I got some trivia for you.
Let's do it. I'm ready.
To the young Zach man.
I'm ready.
If I can get.
Or maybe
this.
I'm not ready. I don't know.
I think you're ready.
We doing Orioles or MLB today?
Major League Baseball. Today.
Okay.
10 pitchers in Major League Baseball history have won 3 or more Cy Young awards.
Okay.
Who are they? 10.
3 or more.
Yes.
All right. I'm gonna start with Verlander.
No, he's won 2.
Oh, okay. Give me Koufax.
Sandy Koufax 3.
Okay. Nolan Ryan.
No, he's never won 1.
Really? That's surprising. Pedro Martinez. He's got to be on there.
Pedro Martinez has won 3.
Okay. So I'm 2 out of 10.
2.
Okay.
That's correct.
Walter Johnson.
No.
Okay. I'm guessing Cy Young didn't win his own award.
No, and Walter Johnson and Cy Young pitched around the same time.
I was going to say it might have been a little too early for him. Yeah, I would think so.
You're missing some obvious
Maddox.
ones. Greg Maddox. He is 3rd on the list. He won 4.
Okay. Max Scherzer.
Max Scherzer. He is 4th with 3.
Okay. So I got 4 or 5 now? I don't know.
You've gotten 4.
Okay. Randy Johnson.
Randy Johnson 2nd with 5.
Okay. Wow, it's going pretty well. Kershaw?
Clayton Kershaw. He has 3.
Okay. So what is that, like 6 out of 10? 7 out of
you
10?
got 4 names left.
Oof.
One of them should have been your first guess.
Really? Oh, Clemens?
Roger Clemens.
Yeah.
7, most all time.
Yeah. I know Lincecum won one.
He won 2.
2? Okay. Yeah. Lincecum was a bad guess. Bob Gibson?
No.
Are the last 3 a little bit more difficult, or?
They're names that you know.
I'm gonna throw a wild guess. Phil Necro?
No. They're names that you know.
Okay.
They pitched right around the same era.
So we're talking like 70s, maybe. I feel like
around there.
I don't think Palmer won 3, did he?
Jim Palmer won 3.
Did he?
He won 3.
Okay, then Jim Palmer. So I guess we're talking 70s, 80s, 60s.
60s, 70s, 80s. Yeah.
Okay.
The heyday of baseball.
So we got 2 left here. I don't think there were any other Orioles that did it. No. I would be surprised. Yeah. Ooh.
It's not unusual.
That doesn't give me a hint. Sorry.
The dance.
Oh, that's the Carl. Oh, Steve Carlton.
Steve Carlton. He won
right.
4.
Okay. Last one.
That is the last hint I'm giving you. That was way too easy.
That was way too easy. That honestly, Steve Carlton would have been a tough guess if I.
That's why I gave you a hint. That was the one I was like, he's never gonna get.
Last one.
He died last year.
He died. Tom Seaver.
Tom Seaver.
Okay.
Why did I give you another hint?
Yeah, that was you made that easy for me. Thank you.
Yeah,
appreciate that.
Tom Seaver.
That was a good one. My dad just texted me Tom Seaver right before he said that. That was a good one though. A really good one.
Yeah.
I like that trivia. That was fun.
Step your game up with the trivia.
I might need to.
What are the dimensions of Target Ballpark in Minnesota? Wrong. 378 feet.
Yeah, I mean that would
stupid.
Look, that would be a fun trivia question if I did it. Camden Yards. What are the new wall dimensions? That's the next trivia question.
333 directly down the line.
There you go.
380.
You know.
380 to that one corner. 400 to the 90 degree angle, and then it jets back into about 364.
Yeah.
And then goes to 410 in center.
You win, sir. You win. That was a good trivia question though. Enjoyed that one.
Yeah. I made it too easy for you down the stretch.
Yeah, maybe a little bit. Honestly, Steve, I would not have gotten Carlton.
I knew you wouldn't have gotten Steve Carlton because Steve Carlton, even though he's a Hall of Famer, he's not a name that pops into people's minds.
He's not a main name you think of.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Tom Seaver, I shouldn't have given you the hint.
Yeah, I was going to get there
especially
eventually.
Especially if your dad texted you. What a good dad.
No,
helping his dad.
I didn't read it. I didn't read it.
Oh.
See, you won't, unless I scan my face here, it doesn't open the notifications, so I didn't see it. But
you have to scan your face into your phone. I don't even have a lock on my phone.
Oh, really?
I had to have when I worked at the radio station. I had to have a lock on my phone, and I hated it. And then as soon as I stopped working there, I was like, no more lock on my phone.
What if someone steals your phone? They're just getting into everything. Like they get your credit card, social security number. They're just getting everything.
Bro, nobody's stealing my phone.
Why not?
It's attached to my hip.
Okay.
I don't have a clip, but my phone is always.
Look, I hope you're right.
On my person.
All right.
I've been doing this.
You got a little folding phone over there.
Yeah.
This is
a little
some high tech stuff over here. Yeah, that's cool. I mean, I see you unfold it 15 times per show. It's pretty insane how the screen just folds up. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's
cool stuff.
It's cool fun. Galaxy Z Flip 3.
Nice.
So yeah. Final thoughts, man. We got
a lot going on this week.
Kershaw to the Dodgers. You got Rodon to the Giants.
We didn't even talk about that much. He seems all right.
Yeah,
Rodon's all right. Nothing special. I think they overpaid him a little bit.
The Giants magically won 107 games last year.
Yeah.
Where do you put them? I look at their offense, right?
Yeah.
And who's in their lineup?
It's not that good.
Yeah.
It's certainly not. I mean, Yastrzemski took a huge step back last year.
He took a huge step back. Lamont Wade, I don't know. He had a nice season, but in Baltimore,
Terp, I believe, right?
Because he's from here, because he played for the Terps, we act like he had a bigger year than he had last year. He had 250 with 18 home runs. It's a nice year.
Yeah, it's all right.
But, I mean, Trey Mancini was better than that. We thought Trey Mancini had a down year.
Right.
So I look at the Giants and the pitching. Look, they saw Alex Cobb was an under the radar signing for them.
Yep.
So they got Alex Cobb. They have Alex Wood. They have Logan Webb. Now they have Carlos Rodon. Their rotation's solid.
Yeah, it's all right.
The Dodgers are going to wipe the floor with them this year.
I would agree with you. I don't think they have the bats.
I just
Buster
really
Posey's gone
felt.
too.
Yeah. I just really felt like last year was such an anomaly for them because they weren't expected to be a 500 team.
Right.
And then they had the most wins in the major leagues.
Yeah.
I think that they might be especially now that you have 12 teams in the playoffs, I think they'll be a playoff team. But I think if the Dodgers win 106 games this year, the Giants probably win 92.
I mean, look, it's a classic case of overachieving. It's
Yeah.
really what it is. They overachieved by a massive margin. And for next year, you look at, you lost Kevin Gausman, your best pitcher, arguably, from last year. You gained Carlos Rodon, but I don't think Rodon's even in the same stratosphere as Gausman was last year. And I don't expect
He was better than Gausman last year.
Was he?
Yes.
He was better than Gausman.
Gausman made more starts, but his ERA was lower.
I did not know that. All right, I stand corrected.
You have to remember that after the All-Star break, Gausman's ERA was about 4.5.
I still wouldn't expect Rodon to be as good as he was.
And Gausman's only done it one time.
Yeah,
and so is Rodon.
So is Rodon, though. Yeah.
But Stan was saying
Rodon did throw a no-hitter last year, didn't he?
Yeah. And Stan was saying that he was surprised he got more than 1 year, but he has an opt-out after that first year.
Yeah, you're right. Rodon was much better than I thought he was. But yeah you're right. So
he was a Cy Young candidate. If he made 30 starts, he would have been top 2 or 3 in the Cy Young.
Yeah.
In the Cy Young voting.
He was number 5, so still up there.
He had a really after that no-hitter, he took off, man. He was just feeling himself. It's amazing what confidence can do for you in the game of baseball, in all sports.
He's a first-round pick, former. I mean, he's a pretty important guy.
He's taken that step to be that player that they expected him to be. Look, their rotation is going to be good. Rotation is going to keep them in
Logan
games.
Webb was so good.
I am shocked. I mean, they have Brandon Crawford. They have Lamont Wade. They have Yastrzemski.
Right.
And then who else do they have? Is Longoria still there?
I was just going to check on that. I don't believe I think he's a free agent. I could be wrong. Chris Bryant's gone as well.
Yeah.
He
they could still
easily
sign
come
Chris
back.
Bryant.
Right.
But I doubt that they do. They don't have a lot of firepower in that lineup.
Right. So, Brandon Crawford obviously is a pretty good player, and he had a really good year last year. But you look at, Brandon Belt, a little past his prime, but he did have he only played 97 games. He was injured for a little bit of last year, but he had a 975 OPS, so I guess Brandon Belt's a pretty decent piece for them. But the outfield is pretty, and it's all right. You got Yastrzemski, Steven Duggar, and Alex Dickerson, 3 all right players, not incredible, nothing great there. I don't really see this lineup competing with the Dodgers or the Padres. I think it's going to be tough.
And honestly, with Bob Melvin in San Diego now,
look,
I think the Padres, the Dodgers pitching puts them ahead of the Padres.
Yeah.
But I think the race this year in the West, and I picked the Padres to go to the World Series last year.
Yeah.
But I think the race in the West this year is Dodgers-Padres.
Imagine if Nelson Cruz becomes a Padre today, too.
Yeah,
that would be...
they get him to DH for them.
Right.
Look, man, that team is the fact that they were what were they 78 and 84 last year,
something like that.
Yeah, the fact that they
huge underachievement.
They have a legitimate manager, a manager who took Oakland teams that had no business winning 95 to 100 games and took them to the playoffs every freaking year.
Right.
And never had the talent that he has in San Diego now. I think Bob Melvin is a difference maker on that team, and I think the Padres are going to be one of the best teams in baseball this year. I firmly believe.
I think 90 games is pretty a pretty good
I think they're going to win 95 plus.
Yeah, they might. I mean, as a floor 90 then.
I think they win 95 plus this year, and they still have Darvish in that rotation. Clevenger's back,
and they're not done. They're going to sign guys these next few days.
Yeah, absolutely. The Padres are a team to watch this year.
They are.
I'm telling you that right now, man. I can't. This is getting me amped up because every year we do our season preview.
Yep.
And we're going to be. That's in 3 weeks.
Yep.
That show is in 3 weeks. I am so excited to do that show. Give our takes.
Yep.
You'll do a preview. I'll do a preview, and it'll be a really good show. A lot of fun. Today was a really good show and a lot of fun.
Show.
I can't wait to check on all these signings and whatnot and see how UMBC's doing.
I've been kind of checking for signings. Nothing really going on at the moment. But I'm sure they'll filter in throughout the day. Doesn't help being blocked by John Heyman. Can't see what he tweets, but
God, how did you get yourself blocked by John Heyman?
Long story, bad story. Don't want to tell it.
Yeah.
He was doing a little Orioles
bashing.
Orioles bashing.
Are you blocked by Buster Olney too?
I'm not blocked by Buster Olney. No.
Yeah. Well,
I stopped a few years ago and I tried to make my account a little more professional. Try to become a little more professional and stop.
That's why you
these
changed
guys.
your name from Orioles fan 367800. Or whatever the hell you were.
Not quite what it was, but yeah. No, sorry. Once I want to get into baseball obviously a little bit, and
you have a job in baseball right now.
I do have a job in baseball right now, so I don't really want to tweet too many things that can be controversial. So John Heyman,
dude,
I'm sorry.
I've been there.
Yeah.
Sorry,
John Heyman.
Not that I've been there tweeting things that are controversial, but I always try to watch what I say in case.
Yeah. Well, I've never really said anything like bad. Like,
Right.
I never have said that. I've always been careful.
Yes. On Thursday, I put up a post, and it was Shaquille O'Neal doing a little.
Oh, I saw that.
He's
Yeah.
holding a Jergens bottle, and I was like, me when.
I saw it.
Me when free agency starts or
Yeah.
whatever, and I put it up, and like nobody liked it or anything like that.
I should have liked it for you.
And I'm sitting there, and I'm like, should I have done that? I was like, who cares? You know, who cares?
Oh, well.
All these guys at Barstool Sports.
They're very
They have their jobs because they do stuff like that.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So who cares? Whatever.
Sure.
Whatever. We don't kink shame.
You're all right.
So guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Oh, totally forgot. Totally forgot. Lost in the shuffle. We can bet on sports in Maryland now, but we still can't bet online or on our phones. However, you can feel like you're betting totally legally and right on your phone by playing Underdog Fantasy Football. Player props, parlays, and traditional fantasy games are all available. And even though football season ended, Underdog has great basketball and hockey games available. And we now know baseball contests will be just around the corner. Plus, Zach, man, we're going to give you some free money to play with thanks to our friends at Underdog Fantasy Football. Go to UnderdogFantasy.com or download the Underdog Fantasy app. Use the code PRESSBOX, and whatever you download up to $100, we will match. That's right, up to $100 when you use the code PRESSBOX with Underdog Fantasy Football. So get to betting. Awesome show.
Great show. A lot of fun.
A lot of fun.
I'm soldiering through here with my basic, like my entire face is filled up with
gross
everything right now.
With grossness.
I'm sorry.
Guys, thanks
Hopefully
for
you can't hear
tuning
my voice.
in. We're so happy to be talking to you about daily baseball coverage now. It's the happiest day for us of the year to this point.
Yeah, I'm telling you, you were in it's like Christmas morning for you over here. I can tell it in your
Yeah.
you are amped up.
I'm so fired up,
I know,
man.
I know.
Like Laura, my wife says to me this morning, I was like, "You don't like baseball anymore." She's like, "I do." She's like,
I saw her tweet yesterday, like I hate baseball or something.
She's just like, I do, but the Orioles are bad, and Major League Baseball doesn't care about the fans, and they've done so much to hurt the game. She's like, I'm
not
just
wrong.
She's like, I just can't get into it right now. She's like, I still watch the games and go to the games and like doing that stuff. She's like, but I'm just not going to get excited about it right now. She's like, I don't understand how you can. I'm like, this is like it's
it's ingrained in you.
My wife. Baseball. It's,
wow, that's kind of close.
Yeah, but she's above.
Okay.
She's above, guys.
Okay.
She's above. But like baseball is my first love.
Yeah.
It was is my first love. Laura is now my only love. But baseball is like,
Oh, you don't love baseball anymore?
No. I do. I do love baseball, but the love that I have for Laura is a different.
What about your cats, man?
Breed. Oh, I love the cats.
Yeah, I know.
Lena, although she's a butthole in the morning, man. She got under the bed back by the headboard.
Wow.
And was meowing like she was stuck. But she wasn't stuck. She was just like, it's 8 a.m. You guys need to get up and pay attention to me.
Yeah.
And actually, it was 7:15.
She was trying to wake you up for the bat round. You should be thanking her.
Laura's usually gone by then, and I'm usually up and getting ready to go to the gym. So the fact that we were both still in bed, she was like not having it.
Yeah. Does Laura watch the shows while she's at work? Or is she able to?
She rarely tunes in anymore.
Okay.
She will tune in every now and again, but, you know.
It's got to be tough when you're doing that kind of job. And,
Yeah. But look, I have my tickets for opening day. I got a 13-game plan.
I'm jealous of you.
I'm super excited for this season, super excited for Adley Rutschman, super excited to be back doing a show that has substance. You know what I mean?
Yes,
guys,
yes.
I don't think you understand how difficult it was to put together a weekly show during a lockout.
I mean, there was nothing to talk about. Like, there was legitimately, we were rehashing because we
everything.
had to.
And to have a different guest.
Yeah.
To talk to Stan and we love talking to Stan, but to talk to Stan about the same things over and you could hear it in his voice.
Right.
He was getting
tired of it. Sure.
You know, to be back to baseball and daily things, and now we're gonna have games to talk about next week.
Take the Rake
next Saturday. Take the Rake in about a month.
Yep.
I am 3 weeks. The first Take the Rake is.
I mean, opening day was at Camden Yards a month from yesterday. So
yeah, 3 weeks is our first Take the Rake because it's going to be the Saturday before the season starts.
Yep.
So super happy to be back. Super happy you guys are tuning in. We will